Everyone, hope you all are good. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Good morning. So, in the last class, last Saturday we had
Hello.
the interview.
We cannot hear.
It's audible, right? Okay. So, last class and video is also good. Okay. And the last class, couple of days that we have last Saturday and Sunday. Sunday we had an introduction class, right? And Saturday we started the actual class with basic networking and security concepts, isn't it? So in the Saturday we started from basics. Yes or no? Like what is internet, right? How one computer communicates with other computer over the internet. We understand that each and every computer are being identified with the unique address that is called as IP address. Yes or no? Like we and you are being identified by our name. Similarly, the world is big for internet, right? All the computers over the internet are connected with each other, right? And they can communicate with each other, right? So in order to identify them, in order to identify each other, there is a unique address that is called as IP address, right? So using the IP address, one computer can talk to other computers, right? Which computer is talking to me? I should know the IP address of other computer. That's the reason both ends of computer which are connected and communicating should have the IP address, right? IP address is managed by INA, which is the international organization, right? Which is being by the like who manage the IP address, right? So once you connect to the internet, if you have to access the facebook.com, first of all you have to connect to the internet and you have to get the IP address, right? Once you get the IP address, you open the browser, you open facebook.com, right? Then we understand the use of DNS. Because facebook.com cannot be identified over the internet because internet, your browser understands only IP address, right? So your request will go to the DNS server. DNS server has the mapping of IP address, domain name with IP address with domain, vice versa, right? So once you access the facebook.com, your browser will go to the DNS server for DNS lookup, right? And will check the A record, what is the IP address of facebook.com, right? We'll get the IP address and then we'll go to the internet. Yes or no? So, so these are various DNS records, right? I have given you the homework. I hope you guys have gone through it during the weekend time, during the weekdays time, after our class. So, we understand that IP address are of two types, dynamic and static, right? Dynamic IP can be assigned automatically by the DHCP server. I hope you have gone through it. Dynamic host control protocol or dynamic host configuration protocol, right? So DNS server can be DHCP server can be configured. So any host which are connecting to the network, DHCP will auto assign the IP address, right? Till the time you are connected to the internet, the IP will remain with you. Once you disconnect, the IP will go back to the DHCP port, right? So using DHCP, we can reutilize this IP. बंदा नहीं आया संबित here यहाँ पे. So we can reutilize the IP address, right, using the DHCP, right? So one more, that is called dynamic IP because it is dynamic in nature. Once you disconnect, it is being assigned to some other computer, right? This is dynamic in nature. That's the reason we call it dynamic IP. Another IP is static IP, which will remain with you till the time you have paid for 1 year, 2 years, for lifetime. That IP will remain with you. Generally for hosting any website or any of the server which has to be made available all the time for external users, right? Or internal users, we define the static IP address, right? The dynamic and static IP address, we understand that we have taken the example of Airtel, how they can manage the IP addressing and all. We understand that using the DHCP, they can reutilize the IP address, right? Then we wanted to set up our own company, right? By keeping in mind that we should have all the users should be able to talk to each other, means all the computers should be able to talk to each other internally, as well as all the computers should be able to access the internet, right? Then it was difficult, to buy so many IPs. Then INA came back to us and tell that you can use internal range of IP, right? Which can be used internally to communicate one computer to another computer. Yes or no? Okay. So there are three range of internal IP or private IP. What are those IPs? Range
10.0.0.0
slash 8 and 172.0.0.0 slash 12 and 192.168.0.0 slash 16, right? So these are three range of IP. INA said that anybody can use those IP internal to our network, but those IPs are private IP, internal IP, cannot be identified over the internet. Get your mind? So one motive got fulfilled, that one computer can talk to other computer using the private IP. But now again, one computer, every computer has to go to the internet as well. Then we came to know about the concept of netting. That is called as network address translation. So netting is nothing but mapping of one IP with another IP. That is called as netting, right? So what we have done is we have configured netting on the router. So whenever any computer goes outside with private IP, router maps its private IP to the public IP and go to the internet. This way we were able to access the internet also, all the computer. Now we talk about how this all computer will connect with each other. Internal to the network. Then we talk about there are two networking devices. One is switch and another is router, right? If two or more devices which are the part of same network can communicate with each other by deploying the switch, they can connect to the switch and communicate with each other. Yes or no? Right? Using the switch. So switches within the subnet or within the network, the range of IP we call a subnet per network, right? If two or more computers are part of same range of IP, we can deploy the switch, right? If two or more computers want to communicate with each other but both are on different network, then we have to deploy the router, right? So router routes between the network, right? One network to another network, if you have to go, you have to deploy the router, right? So you, if you want to communicate from your India to Australia, one of the website, right? In between there are many routers. Maybe your complete router, ISP router, then one ISP to another. Both are a different network. Another router. Just sometimes we call it hosts also. Hosts. Router we call it hosts, right? How many hosts are there from India to Australia to connect, right? We call it hosts, right? So multiple networks are connecting with each other. One ISP, then another ISP, then Indian gateway, then another country gateway, then they are in the internal network, then another network. Many routers are connecting because always connection happening from one network to another network, and from traveling from India to Australia, there might be so many networks in between, right? That means so many routers in between, because one network to connect another network, definitely a router is required. Within the same network, you can use the switch. So external all public networks, you will see the routers. Because one network is connected, one ISP is connected with the other ISP, right? So they will be using the router in order to connect it, because both are from different networks, right? We talk about router and switches. Then we talk about we have configured and designed a network, but network is kind of gate, having gate or security guard. Yes or no? In physical office, having gate but no security guard. So in that case, in physical office, we hire a security guard. Security guard asks from where you have come, where you have to go, to whom you want to meet. Similarly, in digital communication, we have one more device that is called as firewall, right? So before starting the firewall, we talk about how digital communication happens, right? We understand that in digital communication, communication happens in the form of packets, right? And packets are having two parts, header and data. Header contains the control information from where the packet has come, where the packet has to go, to whom it want to meet. Means what is the source IP, what is the destination IP, what is the source port and destination port. We understand the port number, right? One host have multiple ports, means one office has multiple doors. If somebody is using some door, another person cannot use that door. Means if one port is being occupied for some services, that other services cannot be used for same port. The port is on particular host, particular server. There are many ports, right? So particular this computer can connect with this particular server on particular port. So which port is connecting to what is source port, means from which port it is leaving and which port is connecting, source port, destination port, and source IP, destination IP. Source port can be anything. You can leave from this port also, this port also, this port, but destination port always fixed. Port define what kind of services you are requesting, right? Like for website access, HTTPS, port number is 443 or 80 for website access. If you want to do the telnet remote access, port number is 23. If you want to do the DNS, port number is 53. If you want to do the active file transfer, port number is 2021, right? For different services, different port number has been assigned. Over the internet, if you want to connect one host to another host, right? Want to communicate. So which kind of services you want to use? Either you want to access the website, or you want to take the remote access, right? Or you want to take the file transfer using FTP. For different services, there are different port has been assigned. So this is your homework for this week. What are the well-known port numbers? What are the you search in Google well-known port numbers. Well-known port numbers. Well-known port numbers, right? Because this is the most frequently asked question. We should know, right, on which port number what kind of services are running. Get in mind? Let's say you want, for example, you want to host website, right? Website you want to host here, and you want that website should be accessible for outside user, for everyone. Get in mind? Then in this case, you know what happens? You have to, let's say this particular IP 196.0.5.100. This is public IP because you have to give the access to outside user. To have to type static IP and public IP so that it should be accessible for everyone, right? Now you have deployed the website on this particular IP address. Now since it's a website has to be accessed by outside user, then HTTP, if you want to make it HTTP, you know what is HTTP? HTTP and HTTPS. You are accessing any website. Whenever you are accessing any website, either it is HTTP or HTTPS. Yes or no? Whenever you are accessing any website, let's say SIEMXpert.com, it is HTTPS. HTTPS://SIEMXpert.com. Some website is HTTP, SIEMXpert.com. HTTP and HTTPS both are different protocols under application layer, different protocols, right? So some website can be HTTP, some website can be HTTPS. Hypertext Transport Protocol or Transfer Protocol and Hypertext Transfer Protocol secure. HTTP means Hypertext Transfer Protocol and HTTPS means Hypertext Transfer Protocol secure. So you know what happens? What is the difference? So HTTP protocol works on port number 80 and HTTPS works on port number 443. Get in mind? So what happens is, let's say you are accessing SIEMXpert.com. SIEMXpert.com is an HTTP website. HTTP SIEMXpert.com. Hypertext Transport Protocol :/SIEMXpert.com. What happens is, whenever you are connected to SIEMXpert.com over the HTTP, right? Maybe SIEMXpert there are inquiries form where you have to fill some information. Maybe SIEMXpert is a payment page also to make the credit card, debit card payment. You have to fill those information. So what happens is, if you are using HTTP, the connection from your system to my website is not secure, is not encrypted. Get in mind? Maybe you are filling some data, right? Maybe you are filling some data to my website, but man in the middle, from your system to my server, man in the middle is watching your information, checking your session, what are you entering, and may steal the data. Get in mind? You are fine to give the information to the website, but you don't want to give that information to other man in the middle people. Get in mind? Okay. So now man in the middle is watching your information, watching your session, what you are communicating, what information you are saying to the website is not private to the website. Anybody, let's say this is a website, right? This is your computer. You are accessing a website and entering some data. Man in the middle somewhere, man in the middle can check what data you are entering and can steal your data, steal your critical information, payment card industry information, your personal information like your name, mobile number, your address, your Aadhaar number, whatever you are entering to the website. Anyway, because it is not secure. That's the reason sometimes some websites are HTTP, right? But you get the error page, connection towards this website is not secure. Go ahead with your own risk. Get in mind? So what happens is, in HTTP website you will not get the error. In HTTP website you will not get error, but those are not secure. I'm explaining in detail now, since you guys are not aware. So HTTP means connection toward this website will not be encrypted. Means man in the middle can check what information is flowing. That's the reason all the company, most of the companies who are gathering such kind of information are making the website HTTPS instead of HTTP, right? Get your mind? So if you see any website is HTTP and asking you to enter some critical information, some personal information, do not enter your information, because there might be possible that this information that you are entering is not private with the website. It's not something that only website is collecting your information. There might be possible that man in the middle, that means cyber criminals, attackers are there and are watching your information that you are entering. So your information is not private to the website only. Man in the middle, outside bad people, cyber criminals can also watch your data, watch your information, can steal your information. So do not enter anything in the website which are HTTP. Now HTTPS. HTTPS is Hypertext Transfer Protocol secure, right? So what happens is once you connect to the website, right, it creates a secure channel, right? And whatever data you are sending from source to destination to the website are being sent on the encrypted format, 101010 ABCD like that, encrypted format. Get it, mind? You are entering the data, name is Sulabh, mobile number is this one, enter is this one, but even man in the middle is watching your session will not understand what data you are entering or what you are communicating over the internet towards this website, right? Because data will get encrypted. Encrypted means the original data will get changed. Get it, man? The original data will get changed to 1, 2, 3, 4 ABCD, right? So every data will be changed like encryption 1, 2, 3, 4 ABCD, and attacker will not understand what you are communicating. And that is what happens on the presentation layer, right? Encryption happens on the presentation layer, get it, of the OSI model. So this encryption will happen. So encryption will happen here, right? Means in HTTPS, what data you are communicating, it will be encrypted, means will not be on the original format. So even man in the middle is there, he'll not be able to read what kind of data you are, right? So now the site is HTTPS. Only what data you are entering, only website will have the access. Website, so it is a private. It will be private to the website. Means only website knows, website database knows, or website owner knows what information you have entered. Get it, mind? So that is HTTP. That's the reason all the websites are nowadays HTTPS. Not all the websites, majority of the websites, like your gmail.com, your Facebook, your Insta, SIEMXpert.com, all are HTTPS. You can trust that your data is private. You are intended to give some information to Facebook, so it should be with Facebook only, not with someone else. Get it? Because you are entering your personal information like address and all. If cyber criminals will know what is your address, what is your mobile number, and what is your other information, date of birth and everything, it's a personal data, right? PIA information, personal identification information, which is very critical. Yes or no? That's the reason those websites should be HTTP. Get it? Aina said that if you want to use your website over the HTTP, right, over the HTTP from outside, then you have to host the website on port number 80. While deploying, you have to configure the port number as 880. Get it? Over the internet, anybody can access HTTP website over the port number 80. If you host the website on any other port number, it will not be accessible. It is a requirement for the internet. These ports are reserved. If your website has to be given access to outside, it should be 80 only, no other ports. While if I want to access the website internally only, let's say I assign private IP to those websites, and I want to access in my internal network. Get what I'm saying? Not to outside user. This is my company. I want to create one website, HTTP and SIEMXpert.com, has to give an access to internal viewer only, right? The internally you can use any ports. Even I can use 443 for HTTP. Get it, mind? Or 102 for any open port, any available port in my internal network, I can use. But if you are using any services outside over the internet, you have to be using the assigned port only, reserved port only. Get it, mind? So 80 is well known reserved port for HTTP over the internet. Get it, mind? Similarly, if you want to make this website accessible outside over the HTTPS, then you have to ensure that you're deploying this website on port number 443, right? 443 is reserved for HTTPS. You cannot host any other services on port number 443. 443 is only for HTTPS website access over the HTTPS, right? You must have seen, if I'm explaining HTTP and HTTPS, let me explain a bit more. You must have seen sometimes you're accessing the website over the HTTPS, https://siemexpert.com, right? Right? While I'm explaining to you, right? Either if you are able to write, you write it also, or write some terms, right? You have enough time to do some deep dive during your time, right? That may be enough. What I'm explaining you, that is enough. But I want you to make the expert. You should be expert. Get in mind. If you are the expert, you will get respect also and exposure also. So you should collect more and more knowledge. Get in my point. So whenever I'm telling something, if you do not understand the terms or terminology, write down your notebook. Maybe some people are new, they may not understand what I'm telling about particular word, right? Either they can ask me on the class itself, or at least note down on your book, so that once you go to the home, once you have time, you can Google it and understand in detail. So you must have seen sometime some website you access https://siemexpert.com. It is HTTPS only, right? On port number 443. Still you got an error saying that connection toward red color warning. Connection toward this website is not secure or not private. Go ahead or proceed with your own risk. Why are we getting this error? Even website is HTTPS, right? Still I'm getting the error, or people are getting the error while we access the website. It is HTTPS only. https://siemexpert.com. They're accessing my website, but people are getting an error. Connection toward this website is not secure. Kindly proceed with your own risk. Do you want to proceed? Click on advance and then click on link to proceed. And many of the people, because of that, many people are not accessing my website. By seeing this warning, people who are not aware, seeing this warning, and they are going back, resulting there is less traffic in my website. People are going back. They are saying that it is not secure something. I don't know what is that, and they are going back. They are not accessing me. My website access, my hits on my website is getting less. Sessions on my website is getting reduced. So what is the reason why people are getting this error? Even this, it is HTTPS.
Wrong port number.
Huh?
Wrong port number.
It is 443 only. If it is wrong port number, you cannot get the page also. Like if you click on proceed after getting warning, you will get the website, right? Means port number 443, it is hosted and it is working. If it is other than port number 443, you cannot access. You cannot access that website using browser, right? If it is other than 443, it is HTTPS. What can be the reason why people are getting this error? You might have experienced. Have you seen this?
SSL certificate. SSL certificate.
What is the use of certificate? Because I am by configuring HTTPS protocol here and by enabling port number 443, my website become HTTPS, right? So what is the use of certificate? Sometimes you are getting the error, certificate to the website is not valid. Apart from correction is not secure, you are getting a certificate of this website is not valid, right? But what is the use of certificate?
Like when it is up to date, like it is used for encryption.
But what is no? Let me tell you that. Let me
Like
encryption.
certificate is for validation.
Authentication.
Okay, great. At least you have given some of. Let me tell you that. Whenever you enable HTTPS, right? In order to encrypt the communication, there is a certificate that is called SSL certificate. So by default, whenever we enable this HTTPS, it takes the self-signed certificate. Self-signed certificate means which is generated by your web server, web application itself. Self-signed certificate which says that the connection is secure. But the problem is, this guy, SIEM XPERT, small company, not big company, right? His name is Adnan. Adnan went bank to take the loan, right? Bank says that you are not doing anything. We want some guarantor, so that he can guarantee us that if you don't pay the loan back, we will pay. He will take your guarantee, right? Because bank is not trusting on him. It's a matter of trust. If this Jatin working on government job, he's having very good job in government. Bank knows that he has a permanent job and he is earning this much of money. If Jatin says that, okay, do one thing, you give him loan, I am guaranteed, I am doing the guarantee. You give him the loan. The bank will be happy and give loan to Adnan because he is giving the guarantee. Similarly, what happens is, once you enable the HTTPS and server itself sign the certificate, that is called self-signed certificate, right? The connection is secure actually. The connection is fully secure and connection is encrypted, communication is encrypted. But who takes the guarantee? Who takes the guarantee that connection is encrypted? SIEM XPERT owns saying self-signed certificate is encrypted, but people will not believe on SIEM XPERT. SIEM XPERT is a small company, right? People will not believe on SIEM XPERT that SIEM XPERT is saying that it's secure, it will be secure. Then there are companies which have been assigned as certificate authority, CA certificate authority, right? If these companies are said that, okay, Symantec is a certificate authority company, big company, certificate authority company, government have authorized those companies to give the certificate. They will check and they will say that, okay, connection toward the website is secure. If Symantec is saying, Google is saying, GoDaddy is saying that connection toward this website is secure, everybody can trust. GoDaddy, Google, Symantec, big companies, and they are authorized certificate authority company. They can authorize any company. They can prove that it is secure. By having HTTP itself, connection is secure, but people cannot trust, right? So what happens is we have to upload the certificate saying that connection toward this website is secure from outside vendors such as Google, GoDaddy, Hostinger, or some other companies, right? And we have to upload the certificate here. So either you use your own certificate, means self-signed certificate, or external certificate, that is called CA signed certificate. Self-signed means me myself is saying, Adnan himself is saying, I'll pay you back, I'll pay your loan, but bank is not trusting. I am uploading my own self-signed certificate. I have signed own self-signed certificate, but people are not trusting, and resulting browser itself is not trusting us and saying that connection toward this website is not secure. In that case, people will have the bad image towards my company. Even I know that connection is secure, equally secure. Either you go for self-sign or CA sign, connection is equally secure, right? But people may not trust, right? So people are buying the certificate from external vendors, CA authority, certificate authority vendors like Symantec, GoDaddy, Hostinger, Google, or some other companies, right? They will buy the certificate and they will upload the certificate. Now, once you access the website, SIEMXpert.com HTTPS, you will see the log sign here. Log sign is in the starting. If you click on the log sign, you can see the certificate. You will see this connection toward this website is secure. It will written on the log sign, connection toward this website is secure, right? And validity from this date to this date. And authorized issuing authority, you will see how to whom SIEM XPERT has bought that certificate. GoDaddy, Hostinger, Google, or some other companies. Big companies like Google, like big company, MNC's company, they have their own certificate authority server also. They may have, right? Because there are so many applications, they have a web application. So they may generate certificate for themselves. Those are big companies, people can trust them. So they may have their own certificate authority server. They can generate the certificate. It is costing. It's not free. If you are buying a certificate from other website based on the reputation, right? If you go and buy the CA certificate from GoDaddy, cost maybe 3,000, 4,000. Instead, because GoDaddy is a big company and very well known, right? If GoDaddy is saying that it matters, right? If similarly, if you buy from Hostinger, it will cost you around 1,500. Get I mean? It will cost you around 1,500. We checked last time our SIEM XPERT of certificate got expired. People started getting the error. We checked our website is hosted on the GoDaddy. We checked the GoDaddy. They get 4,000, 5,000 for a year for CA sign certificate. Same we checked with the Hostinger. Hostinger was just costing 1,300 rupees. It is because of company reputation, high trust. If you GoDaddy, high trust. Hostinger, less trust. But we understand that people who are accessing our website, they understand that, and 99% people do not understand and do not see the certificate whether it's been issued by GoDaddy or from Hostinger. Get I mean? So we went to the Hostinger just for 1,500 rupees. Get I mean? So this is just about the hosting authority. CA certificate has the validity of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. You have to buy accordingly. 1 year, 2. Generally, people are buying for 1 year, right? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. While self-signed certificate that you generate from your server itself will have the validity of 10 years. Will have the validity of 10 years. Get in mind? For internal application, many of the internal applications, let's say you have attendance application in your company. You may have some CA service desk technical tool in your company, which you access through website, web. In our SIEM also, in our side, we have web console, which you access through website. In Splunk also, we have the web console, we access through the website, so web browser, right? So those are internal tools, right? Only internal people have to access. We understand that HTTPS, even self-signed certificate, equal security. So many of the people are not deploying CA signed certificate for internal applications because we know that both are even internal people are accessing, not external people. Right? For those applications, we can go with the self-signed certificate. But the application which has to be accessed by public, we always have to go with the CA signed certificate. Right? In our ESM command center also, logger also here, you'll see in the later part, Splunk also, we get this error. While we access the link, we get this error, connection toward this website is not secure. But we know that it is secure and only internal people has to access it. So we do not go with the CA signed certificate. Get in mind? CA signed certificate has the validity of 1 year, 2 years here, while self-signed certificate by default has the validity of 10 years. The encryption or security on both the certificate, either you go with CA signed or self-signed, both are same. So understand HTTP and HTTPS. So some ports, many ports are assigned to use on the public network, right? HTTPS in 443 means 443 only. You cannot host our site on HTTPS on any other port number. 80 means 80 only for HTTP, no other port. Telnet, if you do the remote access using Telnet, port number 23. You cannot do the Telnet of your system on any other port number. If you want to do transfer large file over the FTP, then port number is 20 or 21, which have been assigned for FTP to send large file using FTP application. These ports are reserved. SFTP, port number 22. For DNS lookup, port number 53, those are reserved. So there are many set of port numbers which are reserved for specific service. However, in my internal network, I can use any port for any services. Get it right? It's my internal network, right? Even I can host a website, HTTPS on port number 53. If 53 is not being used for any other services, you have to ensure that if you are using this port number, particular port number, let's say for HTTP, you are using port number 43, HTTP, right? Now you want to do the telnet. So telnet you can use the port number 50. It's not happen that HTTP also you are using 53 and telnet also you are using 43. It will not happen. Otherwise concept will happen, right? The port number will be already choked, will be blocked for particular service. So internal to your network, you can use any port for any services. However, for external, public over the internet, these ports are reserved port. That is the reason I am giving the homework, well-known port numbers. Interview ask this question very frequently. What is the port number for DNS? What is the port number for Kerberos? What is the port number for POP3? What is the port number for IMPS? Right? Different. What is the port number for SMTP? What is the port number for SMTP? Anybody knows? 25. Right? What is the port number for SSH? Everybody knows the port number for SSH. SH
22.
22, right? So this is your homework for you. What are the different port numbers? Okay. So make sure that you go through it and remember the port number. Let's come back to what I was explaining here.
Sir, one question I have.
Yes, go ahead.
Regarding certificate issue, you told, right? We will get an advanced error while accessing the website, which is a self-signed certificate.
Right.
So sometimes some organization will have a separate root certificate other than degraded or
that is called
like
self-signed certificate actually. That is called self-signed certificate. They will have the internal server for internal certificates, right? Which they have to use internally. For external certificate, they have to go with the CA signed certificate only. Maybe the company itself is a CA authority company and they have CA authority server, so they can generate their self, right? If you go and access google.com, you see issuing authority is Google only. Means their certificate authority only. They can generate the certificate with their self.
no, internally they have a root certificate, right? That is not a self certificate. So that time also we will get an error or no?
For root certificate, you will not get an error.
Okay, internal root certificate.
Internal, yes.
Okay. If it is a only certificate issuer or certificate receiver, same name, then we will get this error.
Right. Okay. So now I was talking about the packets, right? Packets having two parts, header and data, right? Header contains the source information, what is the source IP, what is the source port, and what is the destination IP, and what is the destination port. Let's say I'm hosting the Facebook here 196.0.5.100, right? And port number is 443, right? So when the packet in the header, what is the information in the header is, let's say 201.51.2.120 the source IP, right? So if you see on the header will contain the source IP and port number, source address means source IP, and port number, source port. Source port, guys, mute your mic. Source port can be anything more than 1024. Generally, source port will not be less than 1024. Can be anything more than 104. Let's say source port is 1056. Anything 1024 is 65,000, right? Anything. So 1056 and source IP is 201.51.2.120. While destination IP will be this one, right? Like 196.0.5.100 and port will be 443, right? So that will be, so right now you're accessing facebook.com, your source IP this one, destination IP, destination port and source port, right? So whenever, let's say right now you access, this is the data. After 2 minutes you access again, the data will get changed. What will get changed here? What information will get changed? After 2 minutes, again you're accessing facebook.com, what information out of this will get changed? How IP? Facebook IP is same only, and your IP is also same. Port is also 443. Source port can be changed because source port can be random port every time. Right now it is 105026, maybe it's 5056 or 5051, any port. Source port can be random port, and for every connection, source port can be random port. But these information will be fixed. Destination IP cannot be changed. Destination port 443 cannot be changed. Source IP cannot be changed, right? If it is connected to the same network and still connected, you will have the same IP address, right? While source port can be changed, right? That's the reason we do not bother about. While we do the investigation, from where the connection is coming, who is connected to our network, what server it is connected to, what port number, right? We do not bother about source port. Because source port does not matter what kind of services are being requested. Source port can be any random port, right? But see, by seeing the destination port, I can understand that if you see you see here traffic coming on the firewall or somewhere you're monitoring the header, you open up the header, you understand that okay, connection is coming from this particular IP and going toward this server. And now which port number? 443 means somebody is accessing the website on port number 443. Oh, HTTPS means somebody, I can understand by going to the destination port that somebody is accessing the website, HTTPS website, and hosted on this particular server, right? If I show the source port, I do not bother about source port. Source port can be anything. Okay? If same connection on port number 23, I'll understand by going through the log. I'll understand, okay, somebody from this particular IP and doing the telnet on this particular IP means somebody taking the remote access. By understanding the port number. That is the reason port numbers are very important, because you guys are going to investigate what kind of activities are happening across the network, and you will see the logs. By seeing the logs using port number only, you will understand what kind of connection coming in, what kind of traffic going out on which port number. If port number is 53, you will understand that it's a DNS lookup. This particular IP DNS resolution is happening, right? If port number is 20 or 21, we'll understand somebody is transferring the file or trying to transfer the file on port number 20 or 21. If some port number is 22, we'll understand somebody is doing the SSH or SFTP, port number is same, right? So based on the port number only, we are identifying what kind of connection is being requested or what kind of communication is happening. Yes or no? You guys are going to check those logs, right? To analyze, it's very important to know the port number, and since you're doing on a daily basis, right? Investigation analysis on the SOC, so you must be remembering the port number. That's a reader interviewer also asks whether do you doing analysis or not, whether do you remember the port numbers or not. Yes or no? It's very important to remember. Well-known port number you remember. Okay? Understand that? Now, let's talk about the firewall. You understand that like how security guards work on the physical network, right? You understand last time that any person coming in, we check from where you have come, where you have to go, to whom you want to meet, right? Then it's check on back end, on his register, on his computer. Now they are also digitalized. They will check on his computer whether the person is legitimate or authorized or not. If it is authorized, then he will allow. If it is not authorized, then he will deny. He will not allow. And security guard is human being. Even though somebody has passed and allowed, but is coming with the gun, security guard will not allow, because he is having his own common sense, human being, right? So now, what work is done by security guard in physical network, same work is done by the firewall in digital network, right? So you know what happens? Firewall is layer 3, router works on layer 3, right? Means network layer. Switch understand MAC address, means work on data link layer, layer number 2. So switch is layer 2 device, while router is layer 3 device. And while firewall is, network firewall is layer 3, layer 4 device. So the device which have understanding of MAC address, or which forward the traffic based on MAC address, we call a switch. Router, which understand the IP address and routes the traffic based on IP address, we call as router. Firewall has the routing feature also and understand the port number and protocol also, right? Port number, protocol like TCP, UDP, as well as port number, different port number, firewall understand that. Which port number, which protocol. So packet, apart from the port number, it will also capture the protocol also, TCP or UDP. Remind? So, your firewall, network layer of firewall is a layer 3 and layer 4 firewall, right? It can understand layer 3 means IP address also and port number and protocol as well. So whenever, you are accessing the Facebook.com, right? Connection will come here, right? And this is header and this is data. It will hit to the router. Router is layer 3 device, right? It cannot understand the data because data is layer 6, layer 7. Application related, only browser can understand. In case of this HTTP traffic, only browser will open and display the data, right? Yes or no? Browser can understand what kind of data is being requested, what kind of data has to be. Your web server will understand here. Here, web server web application will understand because application layer. And here, your browser will understand application layer information. Layer number 7, actual data. Get it? So now, router is layer 3. It only understands IP address. So data packet, it will not understand what kind of data. It is not at all open it. It will not at all open the data packet, right? It will open the header. And header also, it cannot read all the information because router is layer C, understand only IP address, right? Now it will open the header part and check what is the source IP and what is the destination IP. Based on that, it will give the route, right? The traffic coming from this port and coming from this port, going to this port, it will give the route. Okay, go. Get it? So whenever router get any traffic, it will check from where the connection is coming, where it has to go. Then it will check on which interface particular server, particular IP of the machine is connected, right? Then it will route and forward the traffic on that particular interface of the router. Get it? Get it? The router may have multiple interface, multiple network connected, right? By going through the source IP and destination IP, router will check on which port, which interface of the router particular machine is connected, right? Particular network connected, then it will route the connection toward that particular route. That is the reason we call it router. Route, who can route, right? Route, who can show the route, who can show the path. Yes or no? So router work is just to show the path. Get it? So as soon as packet hit to the router will open up the header part of the packet and will read the layer 3 information. Means what is the source IP, what is the destination IP, and then route the traffic. Right? Now traffic has been routed and came to the packet has been routed, now hit to the firewall. Right? Now firewall is layer 3 and layer 4 device. Right? Again, firewall do not understand the data part of the packet. It will not at all open it. What it will open? Header. In header also, what will happen? Layer 3 and layer 4 information means what is the source IP, what is the destination IP, and what is the source port, and what is the. It will understand the connection is coming from this IP to this IP, and port from source port 10256, and destination port is 443, right? Now, and protocol is TCP. Let's say protocol is TCP, right? Now, what firewall will do? Now, after going through this information on the header, layer 3, layer 4 information, what firewall will do? Next, router just route the traffic, right? What security guard does? After asking from where you have come, here you have to go to whom you want to meet, what security guard is doing?
Monitoring.
Check where person is authorized or not. Now, similarly, firewall will also check whether the connection is authorized or not, whether it has to be allowed or not. Same like security guard. So where the security guard is checking whether it's authorized or not? On his register, on his computer, whether computer, maybe somebody has already requested and saying that one person is coming and allow him. Similarly, firewall will also have the backend database. Where the firewall check, there is a table or there is a list inside the firewall. What we call that list? Anybody knows? On which firewall check whether particular connection from particular. Yes, that is called as ACL. ACL stands for Access Control List. Firewall will have access control list inside the firewall where it is mentioned from where the connection coming, whether it has to be allowed or not, whether particular port number is authorized, particular IP is authorized or not. It has to check on the ACL. Now, how the entry will come on the ACL? Get your point? What I'm saying? How security guard come to know the person coming in from Koperkhan, Navi Mumbai, and he has to go to the finance department and meet the person Sulabh, right? How security guard will check and verify the person is authorized or not? How will verify?
The list of IP or a range of IP, based on that it will decide whether to permit or deny.
Security guard will check. Maybe somebody is coming in, so maybe some internal will send an email to security guard, right? Or maybe internal will give the list of people who are authorized, who are the employee, or who are authorized, right? Get it mind? Or who are the vendor? Maybe they have given some kind of pass. So he'll check on the database register and everything. So here registered on his computer is being updated by internal people, some set of people who are authorized to give the permission. It is updated by them. Similarly, ACL had all information, what port number, what IP is being allowed. So now ACL is a list. ACL is a list inside the firewall. I'm not writing it here, but it is inside. Okay, I'm writing it outside. In the outside of the firewall, there is a list that is called as ACL, access control list. They are a list. Now, how the firewall will get the list? Who is updating the list? What happens is, let's say this firewall you bought from Cisco. Cisco is very famous vendor for security devices as well as for networking. Router and switches are very famous. Everybody you will see Cisco switches, Cisco router. Majority of, otherwise Juniper sometimes. Right? Majority of CCNA certification is now Cisco certified network administrator, right? Because majority of the companies are using kind of monopoly is going on, like for operating system, Microsoft monopoly, for search engine, Microsoft Google monopoly, Google Chrome, Google search, right? Before Yahoo was there, but now monopoly is going over search engine. Everybody using Google search. Similarly, kind of monopoly in networking devices, router switches always you see on the Cisco. But firewall you will have many companies. So firewall such as Cisco, you have Fortinet, Checkpoint, Palo Alto, so forth. There are various vendors, right? Let's say we bought this firewall from Cisco, right? We have this Cisco firewall. What firewall we have? Cisco. Cisco has multiple firewall, like you have like ASA, Adaptive Security Appliance, you have PIX, and some other firewall also having. So this ASA, you will see many places you will see the ASA firewall, right? Let's say we have a firewall. Either can be anything, but let's say Cisco ASA firewall. But this rule is valid for all the firewall, either Cisco or Fortinet or Checkpoint and all, any firewall, right? Let's say here we have Cisco firewall. We bought it from Cisco and deployed in our network. In SIEM XPERT network, we had deployed this firewall, right? Now, once I deploy, I have to give the internet access to the firewall. So what happens is Cisco has their cloud team. Cisco has the cloud team, R&D team, research team. Cisco has the research team. They always do the research and check what are the port number or IP address which are blacklisted or which have been used or involved in any kind of suspicious activities. They does the research and check what are the IPs are involved in any kind of attacker activity, suspicious activity, sending the spam email, phishing email, malware emails, or any kind of compromise, any kind of attack, DOS attack, DDoS attack, and ransomware attack, right? So different the research team will always do the research. Get in mind? And collect those set of IPs addresses and IP address and port numbers. Elements which are well known, which have been recently or before have been used for some kind of suspicious activities. They will collect those IP information and port information, right? And they will be updating to this ACL, access control list. Correct? Sometimes this ACL update we also call a signature update. All kind of this threat information we call a signature, right? So this ACL entry is updated by the vendor you have bought from Cisco. So Cisco team will update. You get the signature in antivirus. You get the signature in antivirus, right? What are latest malware or viruses are there? Antivirus team will update your antivirus and says that your antivirus is not up to date. Right? Update your antivirus right now to to secure your system from latest virus with latest malware. Get in mind? Similarly, Cisco cloud team will update the ACL here. In case it is not being updated after some time, it is stopped. Latest IP address, latest port number will not be updated. So what research team does, cloud does is they check what are the latest IP address and port number which all involved in such activity. They will add it here. Maybe possible this list is dynamic actually. This list is dynamic, getting changed, not fixed, not getting changed. Mute your mic, Amit Kumar. And Who is not unmuted? Please mute the mic. No, muted. Okay, fine. So what I was saying is, so maybe possible that today Cisco has updated certain port type, certain IP address because those are blacklisted. Maybe possible that after 1 month, same IP address is not blacklisted or in good hand. Let's say Adnan has taken an internet connection from Tata Communication. Internet connection. He has used this connection for sending malware emails, phishing emails, or spam emails. Right now, many of the companies, many of the users have reported that IP that they have been used for phishing emails. Resulting, Cisco also come to know and has blacklisted that IP on the so that any connection coming on any organization where Cisco firewall is implemented, Cisco will block those connections. But later on, after a few months, the IP address has been assigned to Jana. Now the problem is, whatever Jana access, so many of the company is unable to access the resources because his IP is being blocked everywhere. Where going? Because it was in bad hand before. You know what I'm saying? Jana got frustrated and he reached out to various communities and told that my IP is blacklisted, but he has given some proof that this is my ID and this is my everything. I'm not using IP for bad purpose. Then there are some websites like Cisco Talos, IP Void. You can update, you can request to update the website trust, right? You can mention that this is my identity. I'm using this IP for good purpose or my own purpose, and it is being blocked. It is being because what happens is this Cisco also. Cisco has their own research company, but they are taking the data from multiple research companies. They are collecting the data, right? So there are many research companies which are available. You can submit your IP that saying that it is not blacklisted, it is not in bad hand, right? Let's say he submitted everywhere. Now it has to be whitelisted. It's not flagged as suspicious, right? So Cisco has to remove this IP. Right? Dynamically, Cisco will remove those IPs. So some IP will be added new IP also, and which were not blacklisted before, but now blacklisted, now poor reputed. But some IP which were blacklisted before, but now not blacklisted, they have to remove those IP. Means addition and subtraction. Both are happening here. That's the reason we call this list as a dynamic list. So there are two types of lists here: static list. The first is dynamic. You want to see dynamic and static. So dynamic list is updated by the vendor cloud, right? Which can be changed. Yeah, one. Huh? Mahesh, बोलो. Understand, right? So dynamic list means IP address port number which are blacklisted right now can be added, right? And the IP address port number which are not blacklisted can be removed, right? It should not happen that information you have given to the firewall has to be for always. Very well. Otherwise, latest attack cannot be blocked, and the IP address which are not blacklisted still will be blocked on the firewall, right? That is the reason it is important to have this list as a dynamic, right? So that it will be. That's the reason it is being updated by the cloud, right? So what happens is, if you bought this firewall, right? If you bought this firewall, 1 year license you have bought. You bought this firewall as a hardware. Firewall can come as hardware and software both, but majority of the company will go with the hardware firewall for network. This firewall, they go with the hardware model, right? So let's say 1 year license you have bought, right? After that, you have not renewed your license. It does not mean that firewall will not work. Firewall will work as it is, but this update will not come. Get in mind, your threat feed update such as ACL update will not happen. As well as maybe firewall itself is having some vulnerabilities, some weaknesses which attacker may exploit. some kernel version, some OS version, right? They are updating. Those kind of updates will not come. Get in mind. So your system, your network will not be secure. Maybe new IP has been added as a threat IP address, as a hacker IP address, but will not be added on your firewall. In that case, if you do not update the license, do not renew your license, your firewall will not get any kind of updates. But it will still continue to work. Get in mind? But ACL entry will not be updated. Any kind of firewall threat updates, like security updates, will not be updated, right? So like you are getting this Windows, many people are using cracked version of Windows free. They are thinking that they are too smart. They are saying that people are paying 2,000, 3,000 just for license, 4,000 for license to Microsoft. We got it for free. Whatever our friend has given. The Windows operating system is free. They do not understand that only the licensed copy of Windows get the
सर वीडियो इज हैंग बार बार रुक रहा है सर
is for everyone. I don't think.
No, sir.
Fine for me.
Yes, sir, for everyone.
Video is stopping, is it?
No, it's fine for me.
It's fine, I think. Maybe because of your network. Because of
fine.
your network. Yeah, because
नो
maybe
सर
it is
वो
from your network.
फंस फंस के चल रहा था वो मतलब
हाँ,
रुका
फंस
नहीं
इसलिए
था
चल रहा था क्योंकि आपका नेटवर्क स्लो है. This is high quality video is being uploaded here. If your network is slow, you will get the फंस के चलना. Means some buffering. So because of the video quality, because previously we were using webcam 2 Mbps camera, now it is more than 50 Mbps.
पैकेट लॉस हो रहा है.
क्या बोलते megapixel, right? So you talk about TCP and UDP, right? This
Sir.
is being used as a UDP, right?
Sir,
And
Viren,
UDP,
Viren,
you have to watch my video, right? TCP and UDP. So packet drop is happening, right? It will not buffer, but it will drop the packet in case your internet connectivity is not good. So what I was talking about? मैं कुछ बोलने वाला था ना? हाँ. I was talking about that many people are thinking they are still smart. They think my friend has given the cracked version of Windows, I am using it for free. I got a cracked key from Windows and using it for free. They do not know that only the licensed version of Windows get the security update and get the upgrade. Other Windows which are cracked or which are so many people are using same license are not only one system is getting the update. Other systems are not going to get the updates. If you're not getting update means your operating system is vulnerable, means weak and having the high security risk. Yes or no? Means it can be compromised. What information you are entering, what information your system has can be compromised by the attacker. You are vulnerable, right? Maybe the information you are entering, banking information, you do not know that somebody has installed the keylogger on your system and writing what you are entering. Because previous version of Windows may have several bugs, several vulnerabilities, several weaknesses which attacker can exploit. Microsoft team can also understand, can also have their own vulnerability assessment and penetration tester. They check it out if there are vulnerabilities and they release the patch in the form of updates. If your system is not getting update, attacker is also know there is a vulnerability is there. Attacker will find out, will do research and find out which by sending some kind of packets which systems are having the vulnerabilities, which are the previous version of system having vulnerabilities. They will target those systems. Get in mind? That's the reason. Some of the security, some of the updates, some of the upgrade will come, which is mandatory, which even you do not install, you have to install. Sometimes some kind of mandatory updates are coming, which are mandatory to install. Get in mind? Those are high security patches, which are mandatory to install in your system. Otherwise, the system is vulnerable. That's why sometimes security which are mandatory, even though you don't want to, you have to install. Portfolio you have to install because those are high security patches. Get in mind? So if you do not renew your firewall, you will not get any kind of update, security update or any kind of ACL update will not happen. Get in mind? So kernel update, OS version update, security update on the firewall, everything will happen if you have renew, you have the license. And also you'll have the support from customer care, customer support, tax support. In case if anything is not running, or you're not able to troubleshoot, some problem happens, they will be supporting you based on the problem, based on criticality of the issues. Get it? So now you understand the ACL, right? Where the IP address and port number will be there and updated by the cloud, which IP has to be allowed, which port number has to be disallowed, which IP has to be disallowed, connection from which IP. It is being updated on the ACL. And dynamic part of the ACL, it is updated by the cloud. One more ACL, one more part of the ACL is called a static ACL. There might be a scenario that one of your vendor or customer is accessing of the resources internally, you have given the access, but he is getting a block page or he is not able to connect. He is not able to access the application. He will tell that you have given access, but I am not able to communicate, I am not able to access. I am the owner of this application, I will tell that I have been given access. Everybody is able to access. Why you are not able to access? Check whether you are connected to the internet or not. First thing we ask them, check whether internet connectivity is stable or not. First of all, we check everyone, right? Even though I ask this user to check your internet connectivity, because everybody is able to see my video and he is not able to see, I ask him to check your connectivity, right? Similarly, I'll ask this user to check your connectivity, whether you have internet access stable or not, right? He checked that I am able to access everything, only your side is not able to access, not able to connect. Then I reach out to network team, firewall team, saying that everybody is able to connect, only this user will not able to connect. The network team will tell that, okay, do one thing, since ping command is visible, we can check the network connectivity using ping command, right? So maybe if ping is enabled on the server, maybe network team will ask to tell the customer to ping that particular IP, right? He pinged, you understand, right, how to ping? Go on the CMD, last time I would explain you, right? Go on the CMD and type ping, right? He typed ping command and IP, it was working, it was reachable. He has the internet also and it was reachable also, but only the website was not working. Then network team told that, do one thing, ask him to run the traceroute command. Traceroute, you heard about? Last time I given homework, I think, na? Traceroute ne diya homework, ping was role lata, na? I'll tell you some traceroute, ping, IP config. These are some of the commands, the NS lookup that you have to use, right? Using traceroute command, I think in Linux we call it traceroute, and in Windows we call it traceroute. Both the operating system work is same, but name is different, traceroute and traceroute. So I'll ask this person to run the traceroute. Now, if it is not pinging, then if it is pinging, that means network is there, right? Means somewhere it is blocking, right? So if it is, you do a traceroute, in case it is not pinging, let's say in case it is not pinging, or ping command is not enabled, may be possible that his traffic is being blocked somewhere. Right? Then we can ask the user to run the traceroute command. Using traceroute, it will go and the traceroute command will check where the traffic is being blocked. Get it? From his internet, he has taken the internet from Airtel, right? So first hop will be his gateway is router. Once the traffic leaves, first of all, it will go to his router. The router IP will display, okay, router, it is reached to router. Then ISP, the IP will be there. Then it reaches to IP. Second hop, it reaches to IP address, ISP. Then it reaches, maybe some other network is there in between. It reaches IP address, right? Then it will go to the router IP reaches. Then it goes to the firewall. Then the firewall IP is there. After firewall it is not going through. Then by taking a traceroute, we'll understand whether problem is on our side or problem is on his side. We can segregate the issue. Get it, mind? By running the traceroute. Get it, mind? So where it is being blocked, you can get the IP address. So you'll come to know it is blocking because of firewall. He shared the screenshot of traceroute and came to know it is actually the SIEM XPERT firewall where the connection is being blocked. He will share the screenshot. Firewall will come to know our firewall is blocked. And he can work accordingly. So that is how they can troubleshoot. So I was telling that there might be possible that we have the firewall, right? ACL is being updated by the service provider, right? But there might be possible that one of the vendors is accessing our application but is not able to access because the traffic is being blocked by the firewall. Because why is being blocked? Because his IP is listed as a threat IP, as a malicious IP on our firewall. But that particular person is our vendor, our customer. Means he is not a suspicious person, suspicious company. The vendor IP, but it is being blocked on our firewall. Resulting, he is not able to access our network. Get it right? So what we can do in this case? There are two options you have. One is you submit the case with the firewall team, firewall vendor, saying that this is a vendor IP, customer IP, is not able to access, kindly remove this IP from the ACL. But they may take their own time, maybe 24 hours, 1 day, 2 days, like that, based on the SLA. Remove it. Or you have another option is to allow that particular IP on the static list. Allowing, disallowing on the static list we call as policy of the firewall. Static policies. We can write our own rule, our own policy on the firewall, that is called a static rule, static policy. Let's say this particular IP I can allow on the firewall towards any IP on any port number as per the rule. This IP source would be this, and port and IP can be any. Means source is this, destination can be any, protocol can be any. Or source would be this, destination can be this, and port can be this. I can also give the access to this IP only on this port number, only on this particular IP. Or this IP, destination is this IP, and port is any. Different rule I can create it here based on my requirement. Apart from this dynamic rule, so first preference is your policy, static rule, static policy, static ACL that you are giving here. Let's say connection is coming, it will check the ACL. If it has an allowed rule for this particular IP, it will not check further on the dynamic list. Even dynamic list is blocked, first preference is your. It will allow the traffic. Whenever the connection is coming in, if there is no ACL entry in the external, there is no rule, it will check on the dynamic ACL. If it is blocked, it will block. If it is not there, means it will allow. Get it mind? Yes or no? Yes? So, based on the IP or port number, so this ACL being updated by the cloud, so only signature will not receive. If I have limited use, let's say only certain 20 customer I am going to receive the traffic. That means I can go with the whitelisting way. I will create the static rule to allow only 20 IPs and block all the connections. That means you need not to renew the license because only 20 customers I have to allow. Then I can go with the same firewall without allowing a license. The only problem is the kernel, the OS version of OS vulnerability will not be fixed. Maybe possible that your OS, firewall OS operating system or some internal vulnerability it has, right? Otherwise, I may not require the cloud-based signature because only few customer I have business. Only for a small customer it is valid, but 99% people will go with a valid license. Get in mind? So that your thread feed will get dated. Yes or no? So how firewall works? Firewall is layer 3, layer 4 device. Whenever any connection comes, it checks the header part of the packet and read the source IP, destination IP, source port, destination port, and based on the ACL, it decides whether connection has to be allowed or denied. Firewall either allow or deny the connection. Get in mind? So based on that, this information firewall will allow or deny the traffic. Get in mind? Right? Now, give me a moment. Just give me a moment. Guys, I'll recommend you have paid this much of fees. I'll recommend you if you have internet connection nearby, right? I'll recommend you take the broadband connection instead of using it mobile. Because mobile, you may not be having stable connection. Again, speed will be also slow and may not be having stable connectivity, right? If you are using through broadband, you'll be able to see it properly, voice and everything, right? So you are, paying this much of fees. So maybe 2-3 months at least you can take the broadband connection till the class is going on, so that I will have the stable connectivity.
Sir, Virendra here, I want to ask the question, sir, about meaning of ACL.
What? What meaning?
Sir, I want to ask about ACL. ACL means full form of ACL.
ACL access control list. Access control list, which control the access, right? We call it ACL access control list, which control the access.
And sir, how it works, sir? ACL means it is certificate, no, sir?
My ACL is a list which will be updated as a IP address, port number will be updated by the cloud on the ACL. And you can also update. It is a kind of list which contains the data, right? We can do the IP address, port number here. That list.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Based on that, firewall will decide whether traffic has to be allowed or disallowed.
So, I do have one more question. Will you please just explain me with this trace RT and trace route once more?
Trace route? Using trace route and trace RT. See, let's say you are running ping command, ping to check whether reachable or not. If I want to check the connectivity from my system to another system, I can run this command, ping command, right? If it is not pinging, I may understand that connectivity is not there. If it is pinging, I can understand the connectivity is there, right? But in case it is not pinging, connectivity is not there. But how will I find out? Because my network is, let's say, from US to UK or from India to US connection is going. How will I find out whether problem is from my internet service provider side, my internet side, or it is blocking somewhere on the destination end? That means, so now in order to identify where the connection is blocking, you can run this trace route command. Trace route and traceroute. Windows and Linux different command. One is one for one traceroute, another for traceroute, right? So you can run this command. It will give the exact exact IP address, where exact router IP address, where the router of firewall. Maybe there might be possible that connection reach towards this particular router. The router do not have route, or particular IP address is not connected, or router does not have route to reach that. In that case, it will blocked till that router. After router, it cannot reach to another host. Get mind? Second thing, maybe it is blocked on the firewall. So it will give the IP address of router or firewall where connection is blocking. So it will be easy for us to segregate the problem, segregate the issue where the connection is being blocked, and we can log in that device. We can ask respective administrator to go and fix this problem, because on your device it is blocking. If connection is not leading from my internet service provider only, somewhere on the ISP end it is blocking, ISP firewall or router it is blocking, I can reach out to my ISP, because there is no problem from the vendor end, customer end, company end. Get it mind? So I can use this reset command, right? Now the homework for you is, you write how to run this command, right? What are those commands? IP config. Everybody should know this command and run this command. And what is the use of those commands? Okay, telnet, reset. IP config, I use this loss, telnet, sh, and lookup and reset. Right? Everybody should know this. What is the use of those commands? Try it on your system. This command we can run from black color window, command prompt, right?
So it's telnet, reset, IP config, and
telnet IP config /all, telnet, IP config /all, telnet, SSH, NS lookup, and reset.
MS lookup.
NS lookup and reset. TRACERT, reset.
How to run command?
हाँ?
How to run command?
आपको चेक करना, कमांड प्रॉम्प्ट से जाना है. How to use this command? You do the Google. Okay, so you have to use through command prompt. Go in the command prompt and you have to use it. How to use it? What is the purpose of using it? Everything you'll get it. Okay. What? They cannot change. They cannot change. Dynamically, firewall admin will not have access to dynamic ACL. They cannot make any changes on the ACL. Not required also. What has to be blocked or allow? They can block and allow on the dynamic ACL, static ACL. Because first preference is static ACL. What you allow or what you disallow on the static ACL is a first preference. Right? You allowing something on static, but if you block something on dynamic, will not prefer. What you have written, that will be preferred. Okay? Based on that only firewall. If there is no entering on the, there is no role policy for particular IP port number on the particular static list, then only it will go to the dynamic list to check further. Understand? Right? So you understand, right? How firewall works? Based on the port number and protocol, right? So if an interviewer asks you in case what is firewall, so firewall is network security device, right? Which allow or which filter out the inbound and outbound traffic based on the IP address, port number, and protocol. It's a layer 3 and layer 4, right? Means based on the IP address, port number, and protocol, right? You understand? You can explain. Very rarely we will ask about the firewall, but at least you should know. That's enough. That's enough, right? Maybe also you understand what are different type of firewall. I have shared one document to you, everybody. I hope you guys have gone through it, right? All small things are there on the document. Get it right? So what are type of firewall, that also you can go through it. Packet inspection, D firewall, packet inspection firewall, static firewall. There are a couple of types of firewalls, right? You also go through it. But firewall is network security device which filter out the inbound, means traffic coming from inside and traffic coming from outside also. For outside also we can create the rule. What all inside user can connect to the outside, right? On which port number, that also can be filtered out by the firewall. Means inbound and outbound. Coming in means inbound, coming out means outbound. So firewall is a network security device which filters the inbound and outbound traffic or connections based on the port number, protocol, and IP address. Remind, firewall ACL is operated by the cloud, by the vendor. Static ACL and dynamic ACL and static, we can also create the policies or rules on the firewall, what traffic can be allowed, disallowed based on the port number, protocol, and IP address. That's enough. If you explain in this way, you'll understand that you have knowledge. Knowledge is also only knowledge is required. You are not going to directly work on these tools like firewall and another tool that I'm going to discuss here. That knowledge itself is enough. Get it? Understood, everybody? Now, you have it right. You know, your network is being segregated in multiple zones. In any network, in any big companies, you will have multiple zones.
Sir, your screen is not visible.
Just stop. Wherever I stop, just a moment. Just hold on. Hold on for a moment. Hold on. It is fine, right? Now it is fine.
Yes, sir.
What I was telling?
Yes, sir.
What I was telling? मैं वो भूल गया. हाँ, June, right.
Firewall.
What I was telling is every network in the corporate companies, big companies, right, divided in several zones based on the access. What kind of access has to be given, which part of which server, which application has to be given access to outside user, which access has been given to inside user. Based on that, network is being divided in several zones, right? So let me tell you here. I'm creating your base so that once we start the SOC, you will have full understanding how data is flowing, going, what people are accessing and everything, right? So this is similar as corporate network that you will have in your companies. So directly working the same on SOC, you don't know where the traffic is flowing, where the connection, which all devices, what is router, switch, firewall. So once you have all that knowledge, it'll be easy for you to work on the real time, to have the understanding. Yes or no? ड्राइंग थोड़ा सही नहीं है. Guys, whenever I speak in Hindi something, to understand this is just a joke. Okay? Whenever I joke, I may speak in Hindi, right? But all useful things I'll communicate in English only. So you don't think that something I'm telling you are not understanding Hindi, right? We have some people here who can understand Hindi. Sometimes I make a joke in Hindi. Do you understand that? It is not useful for you. If you don't understand, no problem. Okay? So so as I said, in companies, network are being divided in several zones, right? One of the zone in company will have in companies you will have several servers, several applications like your website, web applications, website, right? Which has to be accessed by a public user.
Sir, your video got froze.
थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम है कैमरे में, कभी प्रॉब्लम हो जाता है sometimes. I may have some problem with the camera. What I'm using is high quality camera since this month. Previously we have web camera, so quality was not that good compared to this camera. So one moment, hold down just. I'm checking. So sometimes it creates problem. But it will not be for a long time. Okay, now it is fine. So what I was telling is in the companies, network is being segregated in different zones, right? You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 20. These are some servers where some web applications are hosted, like my website, SIEMXpert.com. SIEM XPERT has certain business applications, which are hosted here, which I have to give access to public network. So this kind of network is called a DMZ, demilitarized zone. DMZ zone, demilitarized zone. Demilitarized. What is militarized zone? What is militarized zone means where we have full security, militarized zone. What is demilitarized zone? Less security. Demilitarized means less security. Less security does not mean that people can come here and can do anything. Means outside people also have the access. This is militarized zone. People cannot access to your internal network. That is only for internal people, right? This is demilitarized zone with DMZ or DMZ, demilitarized zone. Means outside people can also come here and access your resources. That's the reason we call it DMZ zone, demilitarized zone, right? Demilitarized zones, server and applications are having the static public IP. You understand public and private? Private, which has to be internet to your network. Public means it will be identified over the internet, right? So this DMZ zone servers and systems, servers and application will have the public IP. Let's say one IP, one computer will have 9.196.0.5.100. 201.200.5.200, right? So we'll have definitely public IP, and some application hosted SIEMXpert.com website is hosted. SIEM XPERT is having some banking services, their application is hosted. SIEM XPERT is having some CRM services, their application is hosted. And I can give the access to outside people. Outside people can access those applications in public IP, right? And firewall has created one rule that any people come from outside. If they are connecting to these networks, they should be able to access on port number 443. I have created the static rule that anybody can come here, can access this network on port number 443. I have created. So this zone is called a demilitarized zone. Means anybody from outside can come till here. Till here can come. Yes or no? Till router can come. Anyway, there might be possible that anybody who has crossed this firewall may try to enter to internal network. Yes or no? So So this firewall is on gateway behind the router. This router is on gateway. That's what is called a gateway router or perimeter router. Behind the gate, but it is on gate only, we have this firewall. We call a perimeter firewall or gateway firewall. Yes or no? We call it perimeter or gateway firewall, right? You may have several firewall here also. Maybe some company will deploy DMG firewall. They call it DMG firewall. Some extra security only for this one, right? If you're not having, depend on company to company, right? But they will definitely have one firewall here. We call it internal firewall. That is kind of firewall is called as internal firewall to filter the traffic further. Who has come here should not be able to allow to go in. Yes or no? Yes. So we have other firewall. Everybody from outside can come to your living room. You have one door which is open for everyone. Gate you can open for everyone to come to your living room. After living room, there is a bedroom. You have a gate. Unauthorized people are not allowed. Yes or no? Only authorized people can go. Similarly, after bedroom, you have another firewall to filter out the traffic. You always keep your bedroom door closed. So this is a firewall which will filter and you have access to internal network. This is a real world scenario only. They may, a small company they may not have, right? I'm talking about a corporate network. They will have it. You will have this firewall. You will have the internal firewall. You may have DMG firewall also. So because only on the gate, if I put all the policy on the gate only, means people cannot come to my living room. Yes or no? Some people I'm authorizing them to come on the living room. If I create the block policies on my gate itself, people who are authorized to come on living room, they can also filter out. So people who are authorized to come on the living room, I'll filter here and allow them. People who are not authorized to come inside, I'll drop them on the gateway itself, gate itself. People who are allowed to come on the living room, I'll allow them. And I have the bedroom gate, right? I'll block them there. Get it mind? That's the reason. In the company, you will not have only one firewall. You will have multiple firewalls. We have 4 or 5 firewalls. And it is recommended to go with multi-vendor firewall. It should not happen that you have Cisco firewall here also, Cisco here also, Cisco here also. It's recommended go with multi-vendor firewall. Maybe possible that particular IP, suspicious attacker's IP, but Cisco vendor does not have ACL entry, and Cisco has allowed the traffic. But if you use checkpoint firewall, R&D team came to that IP is blacklisted or poor reputed, they have updated here. So at least this firewall saved your network. Can you mind? That's the reason multiple firewall you have, but go with multi-vendor firewall. If you have one firewall checkpoint, maybe FortiGate, maybe you go with Cisco, maybe you go with Palo Alto. It's recommended to go with multi-vendor firewall. Yes or no? Understood this, right? So further to our internal network, you can disallow the further traffic using internal network. Right? Now, this is another network we call as PCI network, PCI zone. This is internal zone, this is DMG zone, which has to be given. So always you have company DMG zone. Every corporate will have the DMG zone, an internal zone. Every company. Somebody asks some kind interview asks you what is DMG zone, what is demilitarized zone. You can tell that the application or server which has to be given access to outside people, we deploy this on demilitarized zone, DMG zone, so that they can access it via firewall. We call it DMG zone, where we deploy the application which has to be publicly available for outside users. We deploy under the DMG zone. Internal zone for internal users, via internal user sitting internal server which has not to be given access to outside, we keep it internal. Here you will have internal user, internal server application which has to be given access only for internal users. Those will have internal zone. Another zone, some company may have, some company may not have. PCI or PII zone means any company who are keeping payment card, like a bank or financial companies who are giving loans and everything, they will have PCI information. PCI stands for right? Payment card industry. PCI stands for payment card industry, right? If you're working with a company with banking clients, right, keeping the data like your credit card information, debit card information, user ID, password, internet, right? Those are very critical information, right? So we'll make the policy here in such a way so that people should not only the DMZ. So maybe possible that we are deploying those servers under this one and given some public address as well as our internal people also should not reach to this DMZ server, this PCI server, which are very critical. This is a compliance requirement. This is a compliance requirement. Only authorized people should be able to access this server. Again, they may not be able to, some people who have access, they may not be able to directly connect this server directly. Maybe in between you will have some jump server, jump station. In between one server, you connect to this server, then jump to this server, not directly, right? So this is very critical servers. We'll have very critical policies in the firewall for PCI. Only authorized people, internal people, all cannot connect to DMZ servers. Very strict access policies, right? Directly cannot connect to jump server. They have to take the RDP so that if attacker got to know the jump server also, they cannot connect to this. Otherwise, if system has to connect to this server, maybe the system got compromised and attacker can take the access, can reach to this also. So direct connectivity is not there. On the system, you connect to this server. On this server, you have to jump to this server. So another zone, you may have PCI zone. You may have separate firewall PCI. Separate force critical loops you may have on PCI firewall. Understand? Different zone, right? For based on the criticality of data, what kind of access you have to give. We may divide the access on the based on zones, based on the data that we have. We can segregate the different zones. Understand? Okay. So now let's talk about the DMZ zone. You understand in DMZ zone we host website, web servers, web applications which has to be accessed outside. SIEMXpert.com is hosted in the DMZ. People has to be accessed. People should be able to access the application from outside to this application site. So how I will be doing this. What kind of devices will be using on this? और ज़्यादा ही मैथ हो जाता है लिखते आर्किटेक्चर. अब थोड़ा PCI हटा दी मैंने. I remove this PCI. So I may have this firewall. I may have this router again here, and again I may have this firewall. ये firewall तो red होना चाहिए. Firewall should be like fire. Yes or no? Now I have the switch. Under switch, I have various web servers. I am calling this server a web server. Why? On this server, web applications are deployed, right? So I am calling web servers. This server a web server. Inside those servers, some web servers also deployed, which are interface between your application and your end users. There is a very important interview question nowadays. See, as I told last time, right? You have to keep yourself updated. What are security issues, security vulnerabilities, security cyber attacks happening? You should keep yourself updated. If you are keeping yourself updated, it shows that you are passionate towards cybersecurity. Passionate towards cybersecurity career and cybersecurity field. Isn't it? It shows that. Interviews also want to know whether you're passionate or not. Yes or no? Interviews will ask what is the latest vulnerability, what is the latest cyber attack, which company got compromised, what happened, what kind of compromise happened, what kind of data leakages happen. If you are able to answer, that means you are passionate, you have interest. And a company would like to hire those people who are interested, who are passionate toward the work they are doing. Yes or no? So keep yourself up to date. One of the latest vulnerabilities which have huge impact in the market for many companies, that is Log4j vulnerability. Came last year, I think October, November. 14th October, I think 14th November. Log4j vulnerability, which have huge impact for many companies, many systems. Log4j vulnerability. What is Log4j vulnerability? Sorry, vulnerability. What is Log4j vulnerability? Vulnerability means weakness. Vulnerability means weakness. Vulnerability is the technical word that we use in cybersecurity. But vulnerability actual meaning is weakness. What is Log4j weakness? Right? Means what is Log4j vulnerability? Weakness in the network. Weakness can be on the network device, security device, servers, application. Can you mind? Can be anywhere, any digital device. There might be some weaknesses where attacker can take that advantage and exploit it. Exploiting means taking the advantage of vulnerability. That we call exploitation. What is vulnerability, exploit, and threat? You go through it, you write it. What is vulnerability, exploit, and threat? Vulnerability, exploit, and threat, right? Threat is nothing but cyber criminals, attackers, right? You understand? I threat, cyber threat. Threat hunting means attacker ko pakadna, hunting the attackers, hunting the cyber criminals, called as threat hunting. Or the reason of a threat, right? There was a threat. Where a connection is coming, from which IP? The particular IP is threat IP, means attacker IP. Threat means attacker, cyber criminals, we call as threat. Vulnerability is the weakness present on your digital network, on a network devices, security device, servers, application, database, wherever in digital device. If there are any weaknesses, we call it vulnerability. Yes or no? That we call it vulnerability, right? Exploiting, taking the advantage of vulnerability, weaknesses, is called as exploit. He has been exploited. He was doing the crime and he's being exploited now. Exploited means everybody knows that. Means taken the advantage, right? Exploited. He has been exploited means he was doing some bad work, but now he has been exploited. Got it, mind? Similarly, some devices are having vulnerability, weaknesses, and attacker has exploited that vulnerability. Means taken the advantage of that vulnerability. Got it, mind? That's was exploit. So what is vulnerability, threat, and exploit? Entry question. Okay, so Log4j vulnerability is one of the vulnerabilities which have been present in many of the devices. Once it has been recognized, identified, I think it's 14 October or 14 November. I forgot the exact date. In 2021, it has been recognized first, right? And it has been identified that many systems, especially for web application, web server, which are using this one, Apache web server, Apache. The very web server like IIS, Apache, right? Sun. There are many web servers available. So what you do is, this quality vulnerability, I have explained you in detail in my YouTube video. What is Log4j vulnerability? What are systems which are vulnerable for, what are the servers or applications which are vulnerable for Log4j? How attacker gain the access to a system using Log4j vulnerability? How we can patch, how we can fix those vulnerabilities, right? End to end, I have explained on my YouTube video. So make sure that you watch it, you make the notes, and you should be able to explain to the interviewer. Very frequently asked question nowadays. You know our channel? What is our channel? SIEM XPERT. So make sure that you subscribe this channel, because I'm going to create many such videos in future, as well as once I get the time. Many such videos which I can give the homework to you, right? So that you can watch it in future also, even after having these sessions. right? Make sure you subscribe it so that whenever I come live or when I upload any video, you'll get the notification. Log4j very frequently asked question. People last batch I created, people requested that they are not able to understand. Some question I give homework and I ask you to go through the Google and go through the YouTube videos, right? People complain that they are not understanding this log4j over YouTube because several YouTubers are saying something else and some people are saying something else. We were confused. That's the reason last month I have created this video for log4, last month I think, right? So you go through it, you'll understand easily. Make the notes. So now what I was telling is web server. I used the word web server. That's the reason I told you about the log4j vulnerability, because the vulnerability is on web server only, right? So these are the servers, right, on which you have hosted some applications. SIEMXpert.com. SIEMXpert.com is also hosted in one of the servers. SIEMXpert.com is also hosted in one of this server, right? We have the file. So now any users this particular user want to access SIEMXpert.com, right? Communication will happen in the form of packets, right? Packet reach to the router, router will route. Now packet will reach to the firewall, right? Now you know what will happen is, now firewall, I have made the policies on the firewall that any connection coming from any, because it is web application, it's a website, SIEMXpert. Sometimes company may not bother about whether user IP is blacklisted or not. They are creating any rule, any source port, any source IP towards this server on port number 443. The server IP is, let's say, 195.0.5.100. This is a DNS server, right? This is a website. Even though your IP is blacklisted, I do not bother about it. You should be able to access, because I'm allowing only on port number 443. I'm not giving the access of my full server. I'm only giving access that you can access the website on the browser. I'm not giving backend access. Okay? So I have created this rule on the firewall policy on the firewall that anybody coming from any means, any source port, any source IP is allowed on the firewall on port number 443 and destination IP this one, right? Now, or some company may be possible that some company has policy that IP link blacklisted, then it should be blocked, right? But more possible that attacker, in that case, attacker is using some new IP which is not blacklisted, which is new kind of IP, which is not blacklisted anywhere. And maybe once the packet has come, firewall has to open the layer 3, layer 4, port number is 403, but IP address is also not blacklisted. In that case, firewall will allow the traffic, and resulting the traffic will go to the web server. And there might be possible, what data packet actually contains is payload, right? That means what you are requesting or what you are sending. Request and transfer will be there on the part of data. Yes or no? This web application, the SIEM XPERT application has the backend. SIEM XPERT is the application, right? Interface between you and your database, backend database. SIEM XPERT is just interface. With SIEM XPERT application is just an interface which gives the data in visualization format, right? But the backend data, it is stored on the database, backend database. Let's say you have MySQL database, suppose, right? MySQL database you have. So your profile, all the syllabus and everything that is download, that is there on the SIEMXpert.com, right? All profile, your credit login, everything is stored. Let's say the Facebook, for example. Facebook has much more information, right? It is Facebook.com, and every Facebook profile and everything is stored on the database. Whenever you request, let's say you click on my profile, so this data packet will contain some command, some database command to receive the profile from the database. The request will go to the packet and go to the application, and application will check what is the command. It is requesting the profile. Then command will run on the SIEM XPERT backend database to retrieve the database. Those are actually the SQL command, databases command, which will application will understand and will retrieve the database. What you are requesting, right? There might be possible that now attackers are very smart. May be possible that attacker has given some command to delete the database, to modify the database. There might be possible, right? Now once the connection come on the firewall understand only port number and protocol and IP address. When a connection come to the firewall check what is the source IP, what is the destination IP, source port, destination port. Now source IP is this one, firewall check on the ACL, it is not blacklisted, and port number is 443, which is allowed for everyone to access the website, right? Firewall will allow the connection. Firewall does not have any visibility on the data packet. That attacker has entered some malicious command to delete the database. Remind. So in that case, even though we have the firewall will not be able to restrict this kind of communication. Resulting successfully, packet will go on the application, and application will run this malicious command on the database, resulting the database can be deleted. Remind, can be deleted, only modify, and attacker can request some useful information to get, right? Get and post command on database. You see get and on the payload whenever you access the website, get and post command, right? Post means send, get means receive, right? So you will see get and post command, so which will be the part of data packet, but your network firewall does not have access. So these applications are being accessed on port number HTTP and port number HTTPS only. So these applications which are hosted here are being accessed for outside user on port number HTTP or port number HTTPS. So any application which are running on port number HTTP and HTTPS, they are still vulnerable for cyber attacks, even though we have the firewall. There are various types of attacks, like you may have DOS, DDoS, you may have cross-site scripting, SQL injection attack. Cross-site, those are application layer of attack, which you can compromise or which can attack on the applications, your applications, right? So very important interview questions are, what is cross-site scripting attack? I'm planning to create the video since a long time. I'm not getting time, but I'll check if I get the time. I'll create the video on this. But you people understand from various videos and video communities what is SQL injection attack. SQL injection attack. What is cross-site scripting attack? Cross-site scripting. What is SQL injection attack? What is cross-site scripting attack? Writing थोड़ा ठीक नहीं है. You guys adjust it. What is cross-site scripting attack? What is DOS, DOC and DDoS attack? These two you learn from anywhere over the Google or YouTube. What is DOS and DDoS video? This week you can watch from my YouTube channel. Okay. What is DOS and DDoS attack? I'll explain you what is DDoS and attack, how attacker is launching the attack, right? And what is the intention of attacker behind launching this attack? And in case attack is happening on your company, what kind of action you can take? Relevant? In detail, I have explained on my video. Make sure that you watch it. Guys, prepare along with me. Whatever homework I'm been covering here, prepare along with me, so that once you finish the training, you are ready for the interview. It's not happen that 1 month will take away for the interview. Relevant? What homework I'm giving, what I'm covering here, go through it. So these are application layer of attack. Means those are coming on data packet and coming on the application to application which are accessible on HTTP and HTTPS. Attackers access those applications and do those kind of attacks. DOS, DDoS, cross-site scripting, SQL injection, those kind of attacks. Correct? So now how we can safeguard? Because network security firewall is not enough. Because maybe possible attacker is launching that as some new IP and port number is 40 or 43, which is allowed for everyone. And resulting database got deleted. Many kind of attacks will happen like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and DOS, DDoS. Many kind of attacks may happen. Even though you have the network security firewall. So you understand that even though we have the network security firewall, still we are not secure. Our data, our assets are not secure. Yes or no? In that case, we need one more layer of security control. In that case, we need one more layer of security control, one more device. That is called as? Anybody knows? What the security device we use to secure web application?
IPS, IDS.
IPS, IDs can also be, I'll tell you in the later part. But here I'm talking about some other application that is called WAF. Web Application Firewall. That is called as WAF. Web Application Firewall. WAF is called as Web Application Firewall. Web Application Firewall. Web Application Firewall. WAF is called as Web Application Firewall. Give me a moment. Okay, so web application firewall work on the application layer of OSI model. Web application firewall work on the application layer. You understand, right? Application layer means layer number 7, right? Means web application firewall will have access to data packet, data part of the packet, right? What is exactly there on the data packet? Which command, get command, post command, what data is there, right? What command, what kind of command the attacker is running, right? So that can be accessible, that will be visible for the WAF, web application firewall. So web application firewall is only for web application. It does not deploy on the network, right? For all the communication. Web application firewall will deploy only for web application. Where the web application deployed, there we have to deploy the web application firewall to secure the web applications, right? So somewhere it will deploy somewhere here. Right? So similar to firewall, right? let's say you have bought the WAF from WebSense. There are various companies which are providing this WAF, right? Cisco WAF you have WebSense, you have Proofpoint, you have Cisco WSA, Web Security Appliance, you have Blue Coat WAF, right? So there are many companies which are providing this WAF you can buy from, right? So again, similar to firewall, normal firewall, again WAF will be connected to the ACL with vendor cloud, right? Again it will have the ACL. Again, it will have the ACL, dynamic and static, right? Dynamic ACL will be updated by vendor, and static rules you can create yourself, right? What kind of command, what kind of traffic is allowed or disallowed based on a data packet will be managed by the ACL. Get in mind? So many times we might have checked, right? You might have checked that you're accessing some website and you are logging, like username and password, right? Username and password you enter 2-3 times, you have entered wrong password. And now it will start giving the CAPTCHA. It will start giving the CAPTCHA. If you are 4-5 times, if we enter CAPTCHA, your account will get locked, right? That is actually being monitored by the WAF, right? WAF will understand that 3 times user has entered the wrong username. Maybe attacker is trying through some script, right? Attacker is trying to do some brute force to gain the unauthorized access. Bear in mind, the resulting WAF will understand and will start giving the CAPTCHA. CAPTCHA to ensure, there are some brute force software coming. What is brute force attack? Brute force attack is an attack which is initiated by the cyber criminals in order to gain the unauthorized access of any application, any servers. Bear in mind, to get the unauthorized access. Maybe your Windows system is there, somebody enter username and multiple set of password. Maybe this password will have, maybe this password will have, this password will have. ICICI banking application, somebody entering username and fake password, multiple password they are trying to gain the access, right? So this is being done by cyber criminals, cyber attackers to gain the unauthorized access of any application or any server or system. That is called a brute force attack. I'll tell you in the later part, false positivity is not an attack. True positivity is an attack. And it's a real attacker attempts, right? False positive, if anything is false positive means somebody is calling a brute force. You investigate, you come to know it's not a brute force. It's called a false positive. Alert has been triggered as brute force, and you came to know it's a brute force activity, not a legal activity. That we call a true positive. I'll tell you once we talk about the SIM, right? Then we'll talk about what is true positive, what is false positive, right? Anything can be true positive, anything can be false positive. What exactly you are saying that he's saying that brute force attack, SQL injection attack has come. You are verified. It was actually SQL injection attack because true positive. He's saying, or some tool is saying cross-site scripting. You go through. It's not a cross-site. It's some internal activities. Some testing is going on. It's a false positive. Right? What he's saying that if you found the same, true positive. What he's saying, tool is saying, you have not found the same, it is called false positive. Right? I'll tell you in the later part once we start the SIM training. SIM part.
Sulabh,
yes.
can we get a break for 5 minutes?
What? Break in 5 minutes we are taking the break. Just let's understand brute force. Just let's complete the web, then we'll take the break. See, I'm continuously speaking, right, for 2.5 hours. You're only listening. I'm continuously speaking. But anyways, break is required. We'll take a 15-minute break after finishing the web. Okay. So what I was telling is about the brute force. Brute force is initiated by the cyber criminals or attackers or bad person to gain the unauthorized access of any servers, systems, applications. Get in mind? So how they will get access? Nowadays, everybody is setting up username and password. Any system, application, or any servers, they're keeping username and password. So also setting the pattern lock or your face lock or your PIN, so that your family member or any people cannot access your private things. So that only you are authorized, other people are not authorized. You're setting up the username and password. Similarly, in application, everywhere you have username and password, so that unauthorized people cannot access. Now, cyber criminals are very smart. They are collecting some information through various ways. I'll tell you in the later part to recognize, understand your username. In company system username, password is like maybe first name dot last name, half first name dot last name, or sulab.miss@com, like that username. Getting the username through various social media like LinkedIn is not very difficult. They just have to understand the pattern of username that they can find easily. Now attacker got the username. Now without password he cannot log in. Means he cannot do the brute force without having password, because that's the reason not only username is not only required, it needs the password also. If username and password both are matched, then only you'll be able to log in. If anything is not correct, either username and password, you'll not be able to log in. Right? So attacker has been very smart. Getting the username, collecting the username is not very difficult through social media, easily LinkedIn. Now attacker has to enter the password, but now he does not know the password. So there are various password, library of passwords, which are very well known. Alim has, Adnan has habit of giving password like easy, like Google @1234, welcome @1234, Adnan @1234, right? Or the Adnan 1988. This kind of password he is using, which are easy password. Attacker also understand that these are easy password. People generally keeping their name @1234, Google welcome @1234. Easily they're keeping the password. So they will use some brute force software. There are some software, brute force software, on which you can keep same one username, and that brute force software is having millions of passwords. Get in mind? And it's a kind of script automation. Brute force software has an automation. You can set one username, and brute software will try 100 times, 1,000 times within a minute. 1,000 different attempts it can try to gain the access. Maybe this password, no, this password maybe will come continuously flood of access request, right? Maybe out of 1,000, out of 1 million, one will work, and resulting attacker will gain the access. That's the reason it is not recommended to keep the easy passwords. Nowadays, company has strict policies that your password should be having at least 8 digits with small letter, capital letter, alpha, small letter, capital letter, numerical as well as special characters. It should be a combination of all, so that it will be kind of difficult password. It will be difficult to crack, because it will create multiple combinations. It will create only alphabetical, less combination. You have numerical, again you have numerical of 1 to 100. 1 to 10, 1 to 10, right? Different numerical. Again, you will have special character. Again, many special characters. So permutation and combination will be huge. Yes or no? Compared to only character or compared to only number, permutation combination will be huge, and it will be difficult for attacker to crack it. But attacker also knows that people are keeping the password like welcome @1234, Google @1234 has, like that. So do not keep these kinds of easy password. Otherwise, your system or your application will be vulnerable and can be brute forced. Attacker can gain the unauthorized access. So attacker, you understand, to brute force, because attacker cannot try 2-3 times and gain the access. Attacker, we have to try 1,000 times, and 1,000 times manually is not possible. Attacker will use some brute force software. We have the library of username password. We'll try one by one. When you access to the irct.com, you access wrong password. Again, will ask you to enter the password. It's wrong. 2 times, 3 times. After 3 times, it will start giving the captcha. It will understand that maybe the person is not entering the username password. Maybe some attacker is running some brute force software, continuously trying and login is failing. Right? So your website would like to verify whether some person is trying, human is trying, or some brute force software is trying, some script is trying. In order to identify that, in order to ensure that only person is trying, human being is trying, it will start giving the captcha. It will start giving the captcha, because only captcha can only read by the human, not by the script, not by the brute force software. Remember, starting they used to give some text, log that A B C D X Y Z, like that. Attacker now built a software who can read the captcha letters. Then cyber security people also started giving those letters on the image. On the image form, those letters are on the image, not on the website that can be read, right? On the image. Now attacker may also found that way. Now The more difficult combination is images. How many are foresting your image, right? Buses, how in virtual images you have buses, in work images you have footpath. That kind of image is very, very critical. Brute force software cannot identify, right? So now that is how now images are coming, which is very difficult to crack. Provide the brute force. This all are coming through web application firewall. So web application firewall work on the layer number 7, which allow or disallow, which regulate the HTTPS and HTTP traffic, right? And avoid the unauthorized access, right? And there are various application level of attack. There is a web application, cross-site scripting, SQL injection attack, DOS, DDoS, all are coming web-based attacks, right? So your web application secure the network, secure the servers of web application from the web-based attack. There is an organization, non-profit organization, we call it OWASP. OWASP is the international non-profit organization which populate the list of top 10 web application attack and vulnerabilities. Every year they publish a list, top 10 attack and vulnerabilities, web application attack and vulnerabilities, right? Interviewer may ask what is OWASP top 10, what are the attacks and vulnerabilities coming on OWASP top 10. So make sure that you go through it. This is also homework. What is OWASP top 10? OWASP top 10 attacks and vulnerabilities. Can you mind? Yes. Right.
Then how SEL find out the specific IP address that is the attacker's IP address?
What happens is, see, based on the activities, if your IP address is being changed, right? What happens is, attackers do not use that kind of IP because attacker may not get the IP on his own name. Attacker never use their own system to attack. Can you mind? Attacker will not take the broadband connection from Tata Communication and will initiate the attack. Attacker use the compromised systems, compromised applications. Ideally, right? So maybe some companies or some country attacker may use maybe some other different IPs it may use, right? So sometimes if attackers, if your firewall gets to know it is a suspicious IP, it will be blocked, right? But if attacker change the IP, maybe in that case, firewall will have to allow the traffic. That's the reason, even though we discuss all the tools, right? All the security tools, still you can never say that your network is 100% secure, even 99% secure, right? There are ways the companies who are providing cybersecurity services to many companies, they themselves getting compromised. Why? Because none of the tools can ensure the 100% security. Here, in this case, if attacker use new IP where it is not blacklisted, not poor reputed, in that case, firewall will allow the traffic. We'll check the port number. The particular port number is allowed for that particular IP. In that case, successful compromise will happen. Okay. So this is about the WAF that we understood so far. For application firewall, the homework is OWASP top 10. What are the attacks or vulnerability coming on OWASP top 10? You note down this, right? During this weekdays after the training, you can go through it. Okay. So we'll take the 15-minute break. Right now it is 11:30. We'll connect by 11:45. Right. We'll take a break of 15 minutes and we'll discuss about other security devices. We talk about the WAF, right? In order to secure the web applications which are accessible on HTTP or HTTPS, we are using web application firewall, that is called a WAF, right? Now, there might be possible that attacker may send some malware over the emails, right? May be possible that attacker is sending a malware email.
So we are not able to see the screen.
My screen should be visible. Am I visible?
Now it's fine, yeah.
No,
It is fine.
no, it is visible.
Let me stop and now check. So I was talking about attackers are very intelligent, right? How cyber criminals implementing new devices, new policies. Attackers also trying to find out new ways to penetrate the network. Yes or no? So now there might be possible that attacker may send an email. Attacker might have got new IP, right? New IP address which is not blacklisted. Remind, which is not poor reputed, right? And attacker has sent an email with having an attachment which is actually the malware attachment, right? Attacker has sent an email which is actually the malware attachment, right? Having the attachment of malware. So once the packet hit to the router will show the route. Hit to the firewall will check what is the source IP. It'll get a source IP. Now we'll check the reputation source IP. Source IP is not blacklisted here, not part of ACL. Now, what is the destination port? Destination port of sending email is 25. SMTP port is 25, right? For send an email, port number which is being used is 25 port number. That is called SMTP, right? So SMTP simple mail transfer protocol, right? So SMTP protocol is being used to send an email. So 25 port number is allowed for everyone. In case IP is not blacklisted, right? In that case, attacker has used IP and port number 25, and resulting firewall has allowed the connection, right? That means attacker has successfully sent the email and his mail has been delivered to the user Sambit. Sambit has received an email. Sambit has received an email and email it is written that you won the lottery of 5 lakh rupees. To claim it, fill this form attached. Fill that. Sambit was very much excited because he won the lottery of 5 lakhs. To claim the amount, he has to open the document, right? The document was actually some malware. Malware is nothing but the malicious software, right? Malware is a malicious software. Short for is malware, malicious software, right? It was actually not a Word file, but it was malicious software, that means malware. Once Sambit clicked on that file, some information was written and he said like, somebody made me like fool. Right? Somebody made me fool. He just opened the document. He got nothing and he left that. Right? He said like somebody made me fool. And he forgot about the document. It was actually the malicious software. It was actually, one moment. Hello. Good morning. नरेश. अच्छा. हाँ नरेश. कौन किया था आपने पहले? अच्छा, regarding training. Naresh, I'm on the session right now. It will finish up by 1 o'clock. It is finished by 1 o'clock. Okay. So give me a call after 1. Okay, fine, thanks. So what I was talking about, क्या बोल रहा था मैं? हाँ, Sambit in excitement has opened the document saying that it's a lottery. He won the lottery. Anybody else? No, right? He won the lottery. He opened the document. He got nothing, and he left. I forgot the document. He does not know that it was actually the malware, malicious software. Once he clicked and opened it, the malicious software got installed in the system. Once malicious software and malware has installed the system, there are multiple type of malware like viruses, Trojan, ransomware, various type of. You will watch my video on YouTube. What is malware? What are the type of malware? And what happens if your machine will get infected with malware? And what action you will take. This is the homework for you. What is malware? To watch my video on YouTube, what is malware? What action has to be taken? I have explained in detail. So roughly, I'm telling you here. You write the homework. And roughly, one example I'll giving you here. Rest you can watch my video. So what I was telling is, if malware get installed, let's say that the kind of malware, it was a Trojan, right? Once the Trojan installed in system, it will try to create the backdoor. Means it's a software, right? Malicious software, it is installed in system. It will try to create the backdoor and will give the access to attacker command and control server, attacker CC server. He does not know that it was a malicious software. He got an email, he opened it, and he did not do anything. After that, he started doing his own work. He does not know that This malicious malware Trojan is actually malicious script which has been designed in such a way, configured in such a way. Once it is installed, it has been given the IP address and port number of the attacker command center server, attacker command and control server. Once it is installed, it will give the access to command and control server. Now attacker can control your machine. You're working on the machine, you may not come to know that somebody is also inside in your machine and doing something, reading down some data. Or now, if machine is compromised and taken by the attacker, attacker can do multiple things. Attacker can further launch the attack from your system to any other company or another system. Attacker can create the botnet. Means network of compromised computer. One network is compromised. Attacker can compromise this computer, can compromise the index of this computer. That is called as botnet. Botnet is nothing but the group or network of compromised computers. Once you watch that video, DOS and DDoS, I'll explain you what is botnet. Right? Botnet is nothing but the network of compromised computer. So once the Summit system got compromised, attacker may install some brute force software, right? And can gain the unauthorized access to other computer and can create the botnet. Means this also network compromise, this also system compromise. And simultaneously from so DDoS or DOS is always being initiated by botnet. Botnet means network of compromised computer. Attacker will never initiate the attack from their own system. Get mind? So now these are infected system. Attacker will initiate the attack in some other company, some other system from your compromised system. So one thing attacker can do if your system is compromised, maybe attacker can steal the data, dig down the data. Attacker may run some ransomware, can encrypt your data, right? If you watch my videos, you will have the full understanding, right? So you understand, right? Because of that, even though we have the firewall, right? Firewall has allowed the emails and somebody has received, open it, and malicious software malware has been installed. Get it? So in this case, you can say that even though you have the network firewall, even though you have the WAF will not come into the picture in this case because WAF is only for web application firewall, for web application security, right? So now, even though we have the firewall, still there may be chances where the IP address is new and 25 port number is allowed for everyone. In this case, your network is still not secure. Your network, your data is prone to be compromised. Various attackers can install keylogger on your system. Keylogger means whatever you are entering, you record it and send the screenshot to the attacker. Maybe you enter user and password, what key you have pressed, that is called keylogger. Right? I can install keylogger in the system. What username and password you're entering, it will be every key will be recorded in the screenshot and will be shared to me. That is called keylogger. So every activity can be monitored. So there are many various type of malware that we can have that I explain you. The attacker can do the activity, your machine get compromised. So in this case, we can say that even we have WAF, we have the firewall, still we are not secure. Yes or no? In this case, we need one more layer of security control. That is called as email gateway or email security appliance. What we call as email gateway. Email gateway or email security appliance. What we call as email gateway or email security appliance, right? How your firewall works based on the port number and IP address is filter out the traffic, right? Now your we understand that network firewall will filter out all the traffic, any port number, any protocol, and any IP address. It will filter out based on the IP address, port number, protocol. Your WAF will filter the traffic based on the protocol HTTP and HTTPS, port number 40 and 443, 80 and 443. That traffic will be intercepted with the WAF. Other traffic will not go through the WAF. Get your mind? web application accessible on port number 80 and 443. Yes or no?
Yes.
And so any traffic coming on port number 80 and 443 will be intercepted by the WAF. If any traffic coming on any other port number except those, WAF will not come into the picture. Relevant? Similarly, email gateway will only intercept the traffic which is going and coming on port number 25. If any traffic coming and going on port number 25, that means it's email traffic. Yes or no? So email gateway will filter out the traffic based on the email ID domain. Sulabh.mista@siemexpert.com, right? Whether this email ID is malicious or not, or maybe SIEMexpert.com itself is malicious. So any email coming from those email IDs will be filtered by the email gateway. Yes or no? So again, email gateways are having various vendors. One of the vendors, Cisco Iron Port is very famous. Cisco Iron Port is very famous. It is email security appliance, email gateway called Cisco Iron Port. You have Proofpoint. Minesweeper. There are various companies, but Cisco Iron Port, Proofpoint and all is very famous, right? It can also be hardware and software. Many of the company will have the hardware device. Cisco Iron Port is very famous email gateway. What happens is, again, this email gateway, maybe all are in line. Behind this firewall, you may have email gateway also, right? But it does not mean that if it is behind a network, it does not mean that every traffic will go through it. It does not mean that. Network architecture shows that one, then other, then another, but that can be virtual. It does not mean that every traffic will go through email gateway. That means a traffic which are coming on port number 25 will only be intercepted, otherwise it will bypass the email gateway, other traffic. Get it mind? It's same, it is inline all the network as a physical if you see, right? But actually virtually they are not inline all the time. Get it mind? It will bypass by the email gateway if any traffic coming on other than port number 25. Yes or no? So email gateway again as firewalls. Again, email gateway will have ACL. Let's say the email gateway. Again, if they have what it will have ACL. ACL stands for access control list, right? Access control list. Again, it will have two parts: dynamic and static. Again, email gateway. Let's say you bought this Iron Port from Cisco. Iron Port email gateway. You bought it from Cisco. Cisco has the R&D team, research and development team. They always do the research. What are the email IDs and domains are being used to send phishing email, spam email, malware emails, right? So what happens is they will do the research and they will send those details as a part of signature, as a part of ACL. In the ACL on the email gateway have the category information. Mess ho gaya. This is the email gateway. In the email gateway, ACL will have the category information, right? Which email, let's say malware category. Inside that, you have malware category, you have phishing category, you have spam category. Right? So various category you will have it here, right? On the list, on the ACL, you have various category. So they will update, okay, this set of emails are being involved in sending malware emails. So we'll categorize under malware. This sort of email has been categorized as phishing email. So they will categorized as phishing email. This sort of email has been categorized as spam email. They will be including in the spam email, right? So any emails coming in are going out from inside to outside also. If coming in from any of these domain phishing IP address or phishing email ID or domain, right, will be blocked by the email gateway. Will be quarantined by the email gateway. Get it? Based on the domain, or maybe possible that whole domain itself, not only email ID, whole domain itself is suspicious or involved malware or phishing emails. In that case, email gateway will block that email, will quarantine that email. Get it? Any person inside sending an email to those phishing domain will be blocked by the email gateway. Get it? So in this way, we can regulate our mail traffic. Which are emails coming from suspicious IP, suspicious domain, suspicious email ID can be regulated, can be blocked by the email gateway. Apart from that, we can regulate which all our internal user can send the email outside. and which all domain they can send. Here in email gateway, we can create the policies based on the subject line, based on the source or destination email ID, based on the attachment. Get in mind? So what happens is, apart from this email and domain category information, email gateway has the inbuilt network-based antivirus also. So whenever emails comes, even though email is coming from legitimate domain, legitimate email ID, if it has an attachment, this antivirus is there on the network email gateway will scan the file from the antivirus engine. If it is found to be malicious, right, it will block the email on the gateway itself, even though the email ID is not malicious, right? Sometimes you may see somebody has sent an email, right, along with attachment. Receiver, you received the email, but you have not received the attachment. In the company, sometimes you will see only email text you got, but you have not received the email. That means that the particular attachment was suspicious and has been blocked by the email gateway. That's why you received the email, but attachment has been dropped by the email gateway in that case. Yeah, I mean, as well as we have the various policy that we can create on the static list, like like any subject line email you can block based on subject line. Sometimes there may be possible that because email gateway work on the information given by the Cisco, right? Sometimes may be possible that some ransomware attack happen in your company. Email ID was new, it is not identified the email gateway, resulting some attack happen, right? Now to avoid this, it should not happen in future, you have to block those email ID. Right? So you can block those email ID on the manually also on the static list, you can block it. Sometimes may be possible that your vendor is sending an email and every time it is being blocked on the email gateway because it is identifying as a missing email ID. So manually also you can allow that email ID on the static list. Get in mind? So manually, automatically, as well as for dynamic ACL, as well as manually also you can allow or deny any kind of emails. Get in mind? As well as you can create the policies also. If any internal user is sending an email with having exe setup file attachment or having this kind of various different type of attachment that have zip file, may be possible, right? Where setting it will be blocked by the email gateway. Get in mind? Or specific subject, any email coming in which are having you won the prize, you won the lotteries and all, right? Even though email ID is not suspicious, it will be blocked by the email gateway. Maybe somebody is sending some phishing emails, you won the lotteries and asking some critical information. Get in mind? So that kind of policies can be created. Based on the content, you can filter what is there in the content of the email. That also you can filter out based on the email ID. If anybody is using abusive words, get in mind, abusive words, any adult words, something they are using, that kind of email is unofficial, not professional. Those kind of email can be blocked over the email. Maybe internal, inbound also and outbound also. So email gateway not only regulate the inbound traffic, but it also regulate the outbound traffic. These inbound and outbound traffic mails can be regulated by the email gateway. If you want to ensure that some user are from a specific department, specific role, does not require to send any email outside. You can make the policy in the email gateway. They will not be able to send any email outside. Right? Let's say some people who have the access to send any email outside, but if any user is sending the email to Gmail, Hotmail, Outlook, or any public domain, so be blocked on the email gateway. May be possible they are sending some critical information outside to the individual people or their own email ID, not a business email ID. In that case, it should be blocked. Okay, so various policies because right, 75%, because you should not bother about the outsider threat. You should not always concern about the outside threat. You have to look into the insider threat as well. Means what kind of data your internal you are sending out, internal users are sending out. That is also very important, because 75 after the various surveys, 75% attacks are initiated by the internal user or with the help of insider threat. If internal user is launching any kind of attack or helping any competitor or any attacker, we call it insider threat. So 75%, maybe intentionally or unintentionally. Sometimes you send some kind of critical data outside and help the competitor unintentionally because you are not aware of that. Somebody made you fool. Sometime you got an email, saying that sulabh.mr@accenture.com. In accenture.com, once he was missing, right? And he knows that your manager got an email. Get it? So what will happen is, in that case, you look like manager has sent an email. Sulabh is manager. Sulabh has sent an email. And Sulabh has sent me saying that, Veena, can you do one thing? Can you send 20,000 rupees or 2 lakh rupees to this account urgently in 5 minutes? You said, okay, manager has sent. You're from account team only. The manager has sent, given the account number, you have sent the money. You have that attacker, you have your financial loss in the company, right? It is unintentional. Last time, one of the employee recently joined to my company, SIEM XPERT. She sent an email. I will show you the later part. She got an email. Her name was Soumya. She got an email, and from my name Sulabh. From my email ID Sulabh, it was not actually sulabh.mr@siemexpert.com, but SIEM XPERT name was there, but email ID was different. Soumya, can you transfer 20,000 rupees to this account? I'll reimburse you tomorrow. This kind of email, if you remember, like last month, kind of email come from my name ID. How they have collected information? Maybe through social media, LinkedIn and all. They got to know their email ID and my name and everything, right? They got to know that I am the owner of the company and she is employee, right? They send an email from my email ID, my name. Soumya, can you transfer 20,000 rupees to this account urgently? I'm outside. I'll reimburse you tomorrow. He was new employee, just 15 days back she joined. She did not get the first salary also. So she was saying that way. That's why I asked Sulabh once call and asked. He was thinking to transfer, but she was a little confused. I called her for some of the other reasons. She started asking, sir, you send an email. I understand, sir. I'll do it today. I'll do today. I said, what are you going to do? I don't understand what you're talking about. He said, you asked me to send some amount. I said, amount? I am not aware of that. She said, like, I received an email from you that 20,000 has to be transferred to this account. I said, I never asked. Even it's a big amount because you just joined, right? It's a big amount, just 15 days, and you never got your salary also first time. And 20,000, I never asked you. Please forward it. I asked her to forward the email. Get it? She forwarded the email. It came to know it's a phishing attack. Phishing attack means the email, it may come through email or website. Email which look like legitimate email, right? And you fall in the trap, and you may end up sending some critical information, some critical asset detail, or end up transferring some money, which look like legitimate, right? But it is actually not valid. That is called as phishing activities. Phishing can be happen through emails or through website. Another example of phishing is you got an email from your IT administrator @siemexpert.com saying that dear Sambit, your password is expiring now. Your network password is expiring now. Change it right away. Otherwise, you will lose your network access. Sambit thought that it comes from company IT team. And there is a link to change the password in below email. There was a link. Sambit was in a hurry that I lose my network access and everything. Sambit has clicked on the email, clicked on the link opened the website, and where it asks Sambit to enter your username, to enter your current password and new password. Once he clicked on submit, the username and password has been given to the attacker because he has entered his username also and his current password also, right? So that is phishing email. Phishing can happen through website also. Sambit first, he wanted to send some amount to his friend. He do not remember the proper iccbank.com, netbanking.com, iccbank.com. He always have the habit of searching Google. Everybody has the habit of searching Google, right? Sometimes attacker can create a phishing website. Once you click search in Google, the phishing website will come in the picture first time, and you enter that first link, and you come to know same page, iccbank.com, internet banking, right? You enter username and you enter password. Click on OK. You got something else. You come to know nothing website, something that's not happening. Again you Google and again you got a real website. But here once you click on username and password, click on submit. That means you have been given your username and password to the attacker. That's the reason for extra security, companies are keeping now multi-factor authentication. I told you last time, I think, no? I did not told in this class. Multi-factor authentication means username or password itself will not work and now you transfer the amount. Now in case for phishing website, you have given your username and password to the attacker, still attacker cannot transfer the money. Because now these critical applications are deploying multiple factor authentication. Means only one thing will not work, right? Now you got into the ICC bank. Now attacker is trying to send money. Now once he trying to send money, it says that you'll have to receive the OTP. You enter the password, but it is asking OTP to transfer the money. Somehow you stolen some of the mobile also you have stolen. Some with mobile also you have stolen. Means whatever he knows, you got the password. Whatever you know, whatever he has, whatever he will get, whatever he knows means his password. Attacker will got it. Whatever he has, he will get means OTP. Mobile you have stolen. Now again after OTP, it will ask you to enter the grid of your debit card before grid. Even though you have the password, you have the OTP, still you cannot transfer the money. You need the debit card grid. So whenever you are making big transaction, especially some bank will implement even a smaller transaction also. Some bank, especially 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 you are transferring, will start asking the grid. So that even though your username also, you have password also, OTP also, still you cannot make the transaction. This is to avoid this kind of cyber frauds. Even though in the companies also, now they will have authentication, multiple factor authentication. Multiple factor means not one thing only. Something you remember, something you have, something you get. What you remember is password, what you get is OTP, what you have is your card. Many companies, 3-factor, because banking is very critical, so they implement 3-factor authentication. Most of the company will have to, will go over 2-factor authentication. In the company, from home you are logging to your company network, you will have VPN. VPN, you have to enter username as well as dual factor. This one, 2-factor authentication like RSA token number. Maybe you have to install. Before physical token used to come. Before smartphone, physical token, RSA token used to come, and the number will get changed every 30 seconds. That is called RSA token. Now everybody has a smartphone now. They have to install the application, and the token will change every 30 minutes, right? That you have to enter in order to log in. So that is how the attack happens, and that is how companies also understand that this kind of strategy, and based on that they create a security solutions. More and more attacks, more and more security solutions, more and more new solutions you have to buy, and more people needed to secure, to manage those security tools. This is what happening. So you understand, right? One email, so that is called a phishing email through web. ICC bank, you have given your sometimes phishing, sometimes you may end up giving some Google searching some information to outside. He was searching, his name is Adnan. He was searching, he has to travel from Mumbai to Bangalore to Mumbai. He was traveling some cheaper tickets. And make my trip and go Vivo, he got Bangalore to Mumbai. There are 7,000 in the flight. He thought, let me research on Google if I get some cheaper cost. One of the sites, he searched on Google, cheap flight ticket for Bangalore to Mumbai. He searched, he got to know cheapbaba.com. He got to know on site cheapbaba.com. Instead of 7,000, he would have just 4,000. He was very excited. He said, in 4,000, I'm getting the ticket. Now, he clicked on the website, open cheapbaba.com, look your flight ticket. Now, in that case, it asks to create the account. Now, in order to create the account, he has to enter his name, last name, email ID, right? Create the password, everything, right? Now he thought, let me create. I'm saying 3,000 matters a lot, right? In very excitement, he created the account, and he has the habit of giving same email ID. Our email ID is all the same, and same password everywhere. His password was Adnan at that 1234 something, or maybe his personal password, something is there. And he has a habit of giving same password everywhere, right? In excitement, he has entered his username, his name, email ID, password. Click on save. Account has been created now, right? He got some website range has been changed or something, he was not able to book. Then he thought, it's a bekar hai, it's not good. Then he finally has to book through McPatrick. He did not get aware that his user ID, his email ID and password got stolen by the attacker now. Because he has the habit of giving same user and password everywhere. Same email ID, of course, everybody is seeing same email ID, but same password. Everywhere he is giving same password. And resulting, he has given new site also, he has given same password. Resulting, same password was Facebook password, same password, Gmail password, same password was his banking password. Everywhere, same email ID, same password he has given. Means all of your account has been compromised. Get in mind, now you get the email on OTP on the email also. Get in mind, now email account compromised, now banking account also compromised, now attacker transfer the money on OTP, they got an email and they transfer the money. Bank also understand now, right? This is strategy of the user, what user is doing, they understand. Nowadays, bank started sending the OTP only on the email. They stop only on the mobile. They stop sending on the email because they understand that attacker can gain the access on the banking application as well as on their Gmail also, on the email also. That's the reason they send the alert that OTP has generated and sent to the mobile. But some mostly big bank will not send the OTP now. Stop sending the OTP on the emails. Only sending to mobile. Yes or no? Because of these reasons. Facebook also started two-factor authentication. Facebook also started now two-factor authentication. Otherwise, you have created the account on cheapbaba.com. That means you have given access to your Facebook also. And Facebook, after accessing Facebook, attacker started pinging my friend saying that, your name is Akib, how are you? Your friend name is Jana. Yes, sir, I'm very good. Akib said, there is an emergency in my family. I need 20,000 rupees. I'll return you tomorrow. Okay. He has sent same message to all his friends. Get it? Some of the friends may transfer the money. Now Akib is saying that my account has been hacked. My account is hacked. Please do not give any kind of money. Somebody is mommy that asks you. Now Akib will think the Facebook has been hacked. Don't know that Facebook has very strong security. If you are able to hack the Facebook, you will get crores of rupees. That kind of strong security they are having. Google, Facebook, Microsoft. That cannot be hacked. Your credential has been compromised because you yourself has helped the attacker to get your credentials. Facebook has not been compromised. Your account has been compromised. Facebook also understand that this is also happening, and there's a reason this kind of attacks are happening. This kind of people are sending these messages and gaining money unauthorized. Sometimes people are posting some